And we are live. How are you doing, guys? I've got
Yes.
here an extremely good friend of mine, is a brother to me, a fellow Christian brother, and someone who I've learned a lot from, extremely knowledgeable, and someone who I look up to when it comes to pursuing the truth and so on and so forth. And I have here with me, he used to live in England, he's now living in America, so he's joining us from America, and we're going to be talking about the dark forces behind the porn industry. Um, so we're really going to go into depth about when it comes down to this topic, because it's very important, because pornography is affecting a lot of men in society, and
Mm.
not in a good way. All right, and not in a good way. So it's important to find out why that is and what can be done in order to overcome it, because this is a big problem. Elijah, my brother,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
please introduce yourself to the people before we get into this topic.
All right. My name's Elijah, obviously. Like my brother was saying, I lived in London for about 12 years. I'm originally from the US, moved back. But I spent a lot of time in London. I've learned a lot over there. I've learned a lot, about who I am as American, and learned a lot about the world and how the world sees, things apart from the United States. So, yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm a born again believer. I've had many encounters with the Lord. I've had many encounters with the dark side as well. And so not in me joining or doing anything for the dark side, but I've just had encounters with the powers of darkness, as many people have, but some people haven't. But on top of that, I've had encounters with the Lord, with God, where I've had encounters with Jesus Christ on several occasions. And so my faith is not rooted in theology or an understanding of the Bible and all that, even though I do have a theology and understanding of the Bible, but my faith is based on is experiential, experiencing God. And so, and I do believe that God has given me a lot of revelation and insight towards a lot of things, which I make it my mission now to put it out there as much as I possibly can. So yeah.
Just want to give a quick shout outs to we already got a few people watching. The bruh OG wanna see you, bro. So yes. What you saying, the bro? What you saying first? Hello, sir. The red pill people who watch corn. Yes, 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 yes. You be surprised. The red pill leads to that. It leads to that. The philosophy eventually leads to that. It doesn't actually help you
Mhm.
own, because it does promote promiscuity, and promiscuity eventually promiscuity comes from lust, and lust eventually leads to watching corn. We have to say corn, we can't say,
Oh, okay, okay.
YouTube sensitive and all that. Yeah, my brother, what do we know about the corn industry? What do we know about the corn industry? Please, I was doing some research on it,
Yeah.
but please break it down for us, man.
Okay, so the corn industry is something that's been around for quite some time, but never in the way that it's here today. Um, right now, okay, what the corn industry went from a thing that you had to pursue to get it. You know what I mean? Like, say, for example, I'm 41 years old, about to be 42. So let's say, like, when I was around the time I was born in the 80s, you had to go out of your way to find it. If you heard about it, it was appealing to you. You might have met somebody who had it, who had videotapes or magazines or something like that. And you had to actually go out of your way to find the magazines. You had to go out of your way to find the videotapes. You had to go to the store, and try not to get caught by anybody going in there because it was embarrassing. You don't want to get caught and found out. You know what I mean? So you had to actually make more of an effort to find it. But today, and not only that, but when you go in, like if you were to pursue it back then, if you had particular interest, it just wasn't like it is today. Now you can just go on Google. You don't even have to search website. You can just go on Google, type in anything, Chinese, this, that, whatever, and you can find exactly what you want for absolutely free. For absolutely free. And so the shift from how it was available years ago to how available it is now. That process, and that evolution, believe it or not, was it you know, it boils down to really one guy. A lot of people don't really understand. It ain't like, oh, this happened and then these people started this, that changed it a little bit here. And no, it was one man basically who changed it from the magazines and the videotapes in the store, the store you had to go to, the XXX store, to being able to just access it on Google the way we can now. One guy in particular who evolutionized this thing, and the way I had came across it, and how I learned about it was, I believe, really it was just God, straight up, because the way it happened was just so crazy. I used to really be head deep into pornography. You know, if I wasn't dealing with a female, yeah, you know, my younger years, I was watching porn. You know, and it was something that started when I was a kid. Me and my cousin, we used to get his dad's magazines and videotape. We found a secret spot, so when everybody went to bed, we were still up. And we went to them little spots and in the attic and behind the TV, and we found the tapes, and we would just sit up there, out of curiosity, and that addiction grew, and so it had always kind of always been a part of my life growing up, man. And like I said, when I got a bit older, and if I didn't have a girl, to have access to at the time, that's what I did, man. That's what I was into, and I was enslaved to it for a long time until the Lord delivered me, and He opened my eyes up to. Not only did He deliver me from it, but He's opened my eyes up to the reality behind it. That there are people that control this industry that have nothing to do um they don't themselves, like the people that run the industry, they're not enslaved by sex at all. You see what I'm saying? They're not enslaved by sexual desires. They're not kinky. They're not, sleazy people. Like, that's a part of that culture. The people that run this industry, they have families. They live by morals, and they are totally immersed in the control of this industry without being a part of it or attached to it at all. And that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Let me ask you one question, bro. Let me
Yeah.
ask you a question. You said it's mainly one man. You basically talked about how difficult before technology was what it is today, was as widespread as it is today. You said that it was difficult to get access to these magazines and all of that type of stuff. Here in England, we've got what we call top shelf, and that's where the
Mhm.
magazines will be kept,
Yeah.
at the top. Like every single man, we've all encountered corn,
Mm,
one way or another. But
mm,
today, kids encounter it way, way, way much easier. But you said it's
mm.
because of one man. Wouldn't you? What the technology? What the technology? Um, what part did technology play a part in becoming so widespread? And why do you say it's because of this one man only? The- Didn't other people think of the same idea? Of
Well,
making
well,
widespread.
okay, yeah, it's a good question. So the industry began to change in the '90s, going and leading into the year 2000, because we had the internet now. Okay, yeah, we had access to the internet, and so the usage of the internet increased, and therefore, there people saw the opportunity to create websites and take it from the magazines and the videotapes to websites. And
Mm,
so there was a time where, in order to access the coin that was online, you had to pay for a subscription. So back then you had Yahoo, and I think Google was kind of a new thing. And so you had to go either on Yahoo or Google or Alta Vista, which was another one. You had to go on that, and then if you click anything in there, you're not gonna get a whole lot. You wasn't Back then, you wouldn't get a whole lot. You would just get like things that would lead you to the websites where you had to pay for stuff. You had to pay for subscriptions and stuff like that. So the websites that were really getting going back in the early 2000s, most of that stuff, to see, you had to pay for it. And you might could get like a little preview or something, you know what I'm saying? But from that time, once you paid for it, then you had access to whole videos, and and once you access the whole videos, they're there for you to download and to keep. It wasn't like they was just stuck on the website and you just had to keep paying for it. No, once you paid for it, you can keep the videos. And so what happened was there was a guy, his name Fabian Thielman. This guy's a German, and he never really put his ethnicity out there. Not that it necessarily matters, but 67% of people with that last name are Jewish. Let's just say that. Um, and then, I'm not being anti-Semitic or anything like that. I love Jews. You know what I'm saying? I advocate Jews more than anybody. You see what I'm saying? But there's a reality of a lot of power and control in a lot of the main industries. You know what I'm saying? That make a lot of money off of lots of people. There's a trend with that. So anyway, apart from that, this guy Fabian Thielman, he was he was a tech geek. Okay. Um, this guy was like a master at technology, and he created basically the pay-per-click technology. He innovated the technology for people to get paid online through just clicking on websites. And
Hmm.
so when he came up and innovated that technology, it was obviously was bought out by governments, by all types of people who were there to advance internet technologies. And so when he come up with that technology, that opened up a major mainstream of people to just make money and offer things to people for free and make money off of advertising, which is how Facebook and all the social media platforms make their money. They make their money just, it's absolutely free. You can subscribe, get on there free. You don't have to pay for any of it, but they make all of their money from the advertising. So he has something to do with that technology being created on the internet. From that point, he decided to get into the porn industry. And okay, first, let me just backtrack a little bit. How I discovered this guy, and I'm gonna just be all honest here. I was watching corn one day,
Mhm.
and in my, I'm being honest, in me, I was watching a corn scene where it was not to be too graphic, but it was a scene where it took place in a public bathroom, and the individuals that was the actors were in the bathroom stall. And when you watch this kind of stuff, for those who had, who've been there, you understand you're in a trance. Like you're watching it, you just like your mind is completely consumed with what you're looking at. And so the camera angle went from watching the two actors to now it's a bird's eye view on the entire bathroom. And you can see the two actors in the stall, and then you see somebody walk into the bathroom, and you might think, okay, this is corn and just probably just some kinky type thing where somebody's going to join in. But the guy comes in the bathroom, he walks into the stall, puts his ear on the stall, and then he bursts through the stall. The two actors look at him, they didn't stop, they just kept it going, and he didn't say anything to them. He walked right back out of the stall, looked up at the camera from the bird's eye view, and then walked right back out the bathroom. Then the camera angle goes right back onto the actors as if nothing happened. Now that baffled me, and that took me completely out of this focus that I had watching corn. And so I'm like, wait a minute, what in the world was that? This dude just walks in the bathroom, bursts through the stall, didn't say anything to them, walks right back out the bathroom, and it just like there's nothing. So I rewound it, and I'm just curious to know what kind of, because I first thing come to mind, that's a subliminal message. Like
Mm.
whatever just happened there, it didn't really make sense. So that must have been a subliminal. And so um as I rewound it, I realized that the guy that walked in the bathroom, I can see from his facial features that he was Jewish, and then and not all Jews look the same, obviously, but there's particular features that Jews have, with the nose and the eyebrows, and so I can tell right away this guy was Jewish because he had the beard. He didn't have the sideburns, but he had the same black hat on that a lot of them wear. He didn't have the suit on, but he had on a red and gray striped shirt and some jeans. But he had the Jewish hat on that they usually wear, the Orthodox Jews, without the sideburns, the beard, and he had some glasses on. He looked straight Jewish. He just looked proper Jew. So he comes in the bathroom stall. He burst in the stall, and I realized when I played it, he didn't even look at the actors. So when he burst in the stall, he never set eyes on the actors that were naked and doing their thing. It's like he burst in, he looked away from them when he burst into the stall. turned back around, looked at the camera with a look, and just walked out the bathroom. So I'm like, yo, this guy never even looked at them when he walked in there. So I took what I saw and I interpreted from what I already knew about Jews and the Jewish culture and the type of the level of self-control that they exercise when it comes to lust and desires. And so I'm like, from what I understood already about Jews, I'm like, yo, they're basically, I'm gonna use the British term, they're taking a mick. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah, yeah.
basically they're taking a mick out of people who are watching this, saying, like, just showing how they are in complete control of themselves and dealing with this type of stuff. They're not, so I felt like whoever put this scene in there, they're taking a mic to show that we control this industry. And even though we control this industry, it doesn't control us the way it controls you, and we're making money off of you. And that's, in so many words, that's what I felt like that scene was saying. So that encouraged me to be like, wait a minute, what film production is this? Film
Mhm.
production was Brazzers. Okay, Brazzers, who runs this company? Because this guy's throwing subliminals out there. I Google Brazzers. Brazzers is ran by a guy named Fabian Thielman. So not only did Fabian Thielman create Brazzers as his own company, but he created that company under a more umbrella company that he bought majority shares in, which was Manwin. Manwin is the head porn company over all of the popular websites you could think of, Reality Kings, Bang Bros, like all of the most popular porn sites that's on the internet. He bought majority shares in that company and then created Brazzers, right? And so Brazzers ended up becoming the most popular, the most successful company out of all of the companies that that he bought. And so the story. Then I looked up his story. I'm like, okay, this guy Fabian Thielman, he's from Germany. He's probably a Jew. Find out he's probably more than likely he's a Jew. Looked into him, found a couple of interviews of his. This guy he is not sleazy. You could tell he's a very organized, very well put together man. He has a wife and kids. And you can tell him personally, he's totally not involved in any of that type of stuff. You can just see it. Okay, look up his story. Find out he's a tech geek. He was, only interested in developing the technology to for the people to better access this kind of stuff on the internet and to access it for free. So what he did is, once he took over the German porn industry online, he bought majority shares in Manwin, which controlled majority of the major corn companies on the internet. Once he bought majority shares of that, he then um, created YouTube type of corn sites. Okay, so once he created a YouTube type corn sites, which is what we know today is Cornhub, Corn Tube 8, all, if if y'all know X videos, all of these YouTube type of corn sites that you find, even though they look different and they seem like they're owned by different people, this guy created them all. You see what I'm saying? He's the founder and creator of all of the major corn YouTube type corn sites. And even though it might look like it's different people that got them going, no, it's the one guy. You see
Now,
what I'm saying?
my question to you, I've got a few questions um, for you there. And shout outs to KD. He wanted to also ask you, what's your thoughts about going on Fresh and Fit? But we're gonna address that later, KD. We're gonna address that later. Now, I hear that there was also two other guys involved. One of them was Yusuf, and the other
Okay.
was Stefan, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they joined forces with Philman, um, and and you know, I think Philman eventually ended up owning what Yusuf and what and the other guy Stefan event owned, but they were all involved in the corn industry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
My,
right.
my
So
yeah, but before you go into that, the question after that is, I doubt very much that this Philman guy, this Fabian Philman guy, I understand the level of self control that he probably has as a family man and as a businessman and so on and so forth. But there is a reason why he ventured into the corn business. I mean,
Yeah.
he could have used his expertise in technology to, to do something else.
Mm,
But he chose corn in particular, and
mm.
he stayed in that. He stayed in the corn business for a very long time, and apparently he sold everything now, I think, for 73 million or something like that. So he's no longer in charge of it, but he kind of left all of that alone, left it to other people, from what I've
Oh,
researched.
those numbers are not the real numbers. It's way more money, bro. But this is the stuff that they present to us publicly.
I
But
figured
yeah,
it. So yeah, so the two guys that got involved with him, Yusuf, and the other guy, Stefan, and yeah. So why do you think? Yeah, and also why do you think he, got into corn? Why corn?
okay, so yeah, okay, so yeah, the other guys you're talking about, yeah, they actually are the ones that started it. Period. And he joined in. He came around, bought majority shares, and then from there they worked together. Um,
Mm.
but those guys started it, and he came in. But him coming in, he kind of like, yeah, was the boss, bro. He was the tech guy that really advanced it.
And who are
Um,
these other guys? Who are these other guys? What's their background? Because one of them, his name is Oisin Yusuf, and the other one is
yeah,
Manos.
yeah. So I'm not sure exactly their background. I mean, the thing one is Arab is of Arabic background.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where. I'm not too keen or too tough on the other two guys or who they are, where they from. I
Okay.
just I just learned all about the guy Fabian Thielman from the whole, rabbit hole I went down with that.
Yeah.
but but
Yeah.
yeah, I think the reason why he got into it and focused on corn is the same reason why a lot of if I can say his kind um get into certain industries. So corn is a thing that has to do with the human desire, right? The sexual human desire.
Mm.
And a lot of times with that, you can control people with that. That's something that people have that they can't grab or get control of. So when you have something that people desire, like not just a few people, but like a majority of people, and you're able to control that desire and solicit it to people, you're going to make a lot of money off of it. And so, similarly, people of his kind have taken, if you really look at it and analyze throughout history, and even the industry today, many people of his kind control industries that have the same type of um the same type of qualities of effect. Okay, so for example, money, people that control money, the banks. What do people desire? They desire banks. I mean, people desire money. I'm sorry. Um, and so because people desire money, and it's something from the human desire, then whoever controls that whole aspect to get money and process money, then you control everybody. You control the people. People love food. Okay. If you can control the food industry, then you can control the people. If you can control what people, I mean, people basically these people have humans down to a science. We're robotic. Everybody's different, individualistic. We can do our own thing, but to a degree, we can. There's certain things we can't escape as human beings. Like we're almost robotic in a sense where every human being has a desire. Every human being has is or we're creatures of habit. Okay, and we function off desire from the time we're born to the time we die. We everything we do.
Let me just chime in on that a little bit, brother, because uh, uh, people love to say that they are different, and I
Yeah,
don't, and I don't think people are different at all. Uh,
nah,
we are 90% more similar than people would be led to believe. I don't know why people say human beings are different, but we pretty much operate the exact same way. We have
yeah,
the same desires, we have the same biological needs, we have the same everything. So I don't know why people have this egotistical view of themselves where they think of themselves in when they usually say I am we are all different. there's an ego attached to it that I just we are not that different. We are tempted
Yeah,
by the same things. Some people might be tempted more by greed, for example, and not be so selfish, or not be so vain. And other people might be. We might have different degrees of temptations. Where we are more tempted by certain. Let's say a person is more tempted by lust, and the other person is more tempted by money, greed.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
we, we have different levels of temptation, but we are all pretty much tempted by the exact same things.
yeah,
There is, and we all have the same biological functions. We all have the same biological needs. So I
yeah,
don't understand why people love to say that they are different. I don't think we are different at all. I,
yeah.
I just
Well, it's
wanted to
just
say that.
because it's the deception of the free will. Everybody has a free will and can make and choose and do whatever they want to do, and that um feeling of control. I guess it gives us a feeling of control of individualism. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like we're always going to fall into the same patterns that every other human being goes through, whether on a higher frequency or a lower frequency. Like you're saying, some people are more tempted to lust than they are to steal, and then other people are more tempted to steal than they are to lust, and other people, you know what I mean? So it just, even though like my ugly might be different from your ugly, everybody's uglies are going to be the same out of all the categories of ugly. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's just that's just what it is. So, I mean, when it comes to the people of the kind, they have mastered human beings, bro, to a degree where they can make money off of people. They understand that humans aren't different. They understand that people are the same categories of desire and habit. You know what I mean? And um, I think that's like the two of the main things that can be focused on. Like once you have a person's desire, then you can create the habit. Once you create the habit and you control the desire, then you control that person's life. Period.
So
You see what I'm
basically, what
saying?
I'm saying is they can create a product that's tailor made. So the creation, so him being able to make corn accessible, highly accessible, widespread. He basically, so the product was corn. That was the product. So he understood that the human have this desire, and he understood that he could create a way of this desire being easily accessible. Um, for corn, of course, corn was already in existence. All he did is just he facilitated.
Mm,
he,
yeah,
he, he managed to build a technology that allowed you to access it quicker.
yeah, yeah. You create a powerful tool, a powerful weapon, man. That's what it
Exactly.
is.
So
Because I
corn was
mean, you got
born.
different weapons. You got. It's like the atomic bomb of weapon. Like lust is lust, right? And lust comes in different forms, and there's different weapons. You got the beautiful girl walking down the street. You got prostitutes, this and that. But then you got corn. So
Yeah,
corn is like the atomic bomb. You know what I'm saying? The pretty girls you see at work on the street, they like just handguns, AR-15s. But corn is the atomic bomb, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's a weapon of mass destruction, bro. You know what I mean?
and we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. Hassan asked, "How is this any different than any other industry? Most industries are run by a small group of people."
Mm. Um, well, this is different in the sense where, okay, so lust, it boils down to lust. Lust is enslaving. You know what I mean? And there's a spiritual dynamic to lust that most people are very unaware of, but it actually enslaves an individual and it takes you into a whole different dimension spiritually. And I believe it's the most enslaving um sin, the most enslaving sin really that anybody can get involved in, man. I mean, you got a lot of things, you got drug addiction, you got murder, you got stealing, you got anger, you got all these different bad things that people can do. But when it comes to lust, it's enslaving because it's a natural desire given by God that's been totally manipulated. And
Would you
when you
say?
have,
Would you say it has been perverted?
yeah, it's been totally perverted and manipulated, man. And so we get our perception of that natural desire that God has given us in order to marry and to reproduce has been perverted. Our perception of it has been perverted. And Our perception has been altered, and altered perception is deception. You see what I'm saying? So when we see things in the wrong way, um, we're deceived. We're perceiving it in an alternate way than how it should be perceived. You see what I'm saying? And so because it's systematically ingrained in the world, it's hard. We don't even know what God's purpose is for it a lot of times. You see what I'm saying? It's not really taught that much. Even in, you can even go to church where that'll teach you that lust is wrong and not to do this and not to do that, but they're not really teaching you the spiritual dynamic of what this thing is really about. You see what I'm saying? What sexual desire is really about. Why God gave us sexual desire.
Would you say when most people in the West today, when they think of sex, would you say they think of reproduction and uh, when they think of sex, do you think they mostly think about the purpose of it, which is to reproduce and build
Um,
a family and leave a legacy and so on? Do you think that most people, when they think of sex, they think of sex in that way, for reproduction, for legacy, and for family unit in the West today?
No, no, not in the West, because the West, which is the dominant culture of the world, it's not. People don't really think of it that way. You might go some places in the Middle East or certain remote areas that's very different and not really influenced by the West, where they might see it that way. But I think a majority of the West definitely don't see it that way because it's promoted in the wrong way and it's promoted in a deceptive way. So most people, when sex comes to mind, it's all about pleasure rather than reproduction and love and unity with your mate, your wife. You see what I'm saying, or your husband. Um, this is the thing. Like I believe, and I know for sure through trial and error and just understanding that sex is meant for marriage and reproduction, and marriage in the sense where it it's a bond, it's a bonding agent. You see what I'm saying? So when you're having sex with your wife, it's a bonding agent. You see what I'm saying? It brings you closer together. You and your wife, y'all could be disagreeing and arguing, but if you're having regular sex, you get over whatever issue it is you have with your wife or with your husband, because that is something mysterious that goes beyond your understanding in the sense that bonds you with that person. And I believe that bonding agent is there to keep the two together in order to raise children, because it takes a man and a woman to raise the children. It takes a man and a woman to make children, and it takes a man and a woman to raise the children. And that sex is the bonding agent to keep the two together. You know what I'm saying? For that well balanced, um, that for the balance of raising the child or raising more human beings.
And it continues the human race. It
Yeah.
continues the human race, which is one of the reasons why we exist in the first place. It is to continue the human race. And we can't continue the human race of unless we think of sex purely as a pleasurable act, rather than an act where you're focused on reproduction and legacy and so on and so forth. Rashid asked the question, um, if there is no, because I wanted to go into something actually, because now that we've established that most people in the West only think of sex as something pleasurable. Uh, and we know that it was Fabian Filman that kind of facilitated that to be the case. I'm sure what he did has had an impact. You would agree that what he did had an impact on the Western world, had a
Oh
huge
yeah.
impact on
Oh
the
yeah.
West.
100%. 100%. I mean, even kids nowadays, like when I was a kid in high school, I had access to it not through smartphones and the internet. We had to actually go to the stores and get magazines and go to your uncle house and find a hidden stash somewhere. But now, it's a different story. Like kids, like and a lot of kids have smartphones from elementary school. You see what I'm saying? My daughter, she's in fourth grade, and she don't have a phone. I'm giving her no phone, not right now. But her friends, should go to school, and she already got friends on TikTok and all this kind of stuff, like at school, like in the fourth grade. And I'm like, That's crazy. The stuff that they can access on these phones. So I'm pretty sure that at her age, she's probably already seen some stuff through her friends. And so now I can't wait till she gets older. I have to talk to her about this stuff from an early age. You see what I'm saying? Because
Unfortunately, that's the reality that all of us parents, we have to start educating our children earlier on,
yeah,
educating about this stuff. Usually, if we lived in a good society, we would wait a little bit. But now,
mm,
because of the kind of society that we live in, because because of Fabian Philman, who facilitated who facilitated this evil thing that people
yeah,
are now completely addicted to. Um,
mm,
Now, parents that actually care about their children are gonna have that sit down much earlier than
mm,
they wanted to,
yeah.
just to protect their children. Rashid asked an important question, brother. Sorry to stop you there. If there is no corn, do you think men will be more disciplined or use prostitutes more?
Um, Lust is lust, man. People gonna find a way. You know, I'm gonna tell you, like, when I struggled with this issue, when I was trying to stop, you know, and by like putting safety things on the internet and all that kind of stuff, I still found ways, like, you know
Mm,
what I mean? And I'm just telling you the real. So it has to be dealt with at the root, you know. Um, but yeah, if you take away corn, people are gonna find other ways to solve that issue. Obviously, when corn wasn't around, people were still finding ways to fulfill that desire. All throughout history, man, all throughout history. So,
I have
um,
to I have to admit with you, sorry to stop you there, bro. I have to it's funny what you said about how you first encountered corn, because that's exactly how I first encountered corn as well. It was through a magazine. I'm not gonna say who that magazine belonged to, but they left their bag open, and that's how I was like, whoa, okay, what is this? And I was very young when I encountered it, and and you brought up something very important. If it was that difficult for me to encounter that, because there was no other way of accessing that, so that's how I encountered it. But that magazine did not belong to me. I never, it was someone that was visiting, and then I saw it. It was in their bag. They left their bag open. I came across it,
mm,
and then I saw that, and then, but even to get access to that, you I didn't know how to get access to that. You
yeah,
Now kids can easily access it.
yeah,
Even if their parents put everything in place in order to protect them, um, they'll go to school, and another parent doesn't really care, and they'll allow their children to, and those children are interacting with your children. But like
mm,
I said, it doesn't matter, what it doesn't matter what methods you use, or what ways to kind of avoid it, which I would listen, anyone struggling with it, I would advise it. I would advise to put all of these things in places that stops you from accessing it quickly. It does help. It does help.
it
uh
can for some people, but not
yeah,
everybody.
if you don't deal, like my brother said, if you don't deal with the root cause, if you don't deal with the root cause of it, it's going to be almost impossible for you
Yeah,
to literally, overcome this lustful desire. Yeah.
yeah. You got to really change. You got to change your desire, man. I mean, and to do that on your own is it could be nearly impossible.
Yeah.
The only I can say personally for me, the only thing that got me out of that mindset and pulled me away from that desire was God and the spiritual transformation, seeking God and allowing Him to really transform me through faith. Me praying, asking God for help, asking God to change me. You know what I mean? And believing that He would, and He did. You see what I'm saying? And then not only that, on top of that, making efforts to reading the Bible, making efforts to reading and applying the Word of God in my life, the tools that's in the scriptures that supposed to help us with these things, making the effort to take those tools from the scriptures and apply them, and in that I also saw spiritual transformation. because I'm making, you know, words are words, information is just information. People can read the Bible and just look at it as information to keep it moving, but when you apply it through faith, you see what I'm saying? And in faith, you're reading it and you be like, okay, I'm going to apply this to for so that God can help me with this situation. That's an act of faith, and that opens up the door for the Spirit of God to change you, to change your desire. Next thing you know, when that girl, when you see that girl at the store or wherever on TV, or you know, what I mean, when that temptation comes, it's not going to be as easy to just fall in the grooves of doing that. You see what I'm saying? God, He begins to change you when He begins to open your mind and be like, wait a minute, you know, you don't have to go down this path today. To whereas yesterday and the day before, when that temptation came up, it was just like I just fell right in, boom. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
so God, He empowers you, and He has to change you. He has to transform you. He has to set you free in that way. You know, and so the the answer for a lot of people, bro, you can try everything in the world, but a lot of these things won't work. For some people, they will. There's some people out there that can actually make a decision without ever even praying and be like, look, I'm just gonna stop looking at porn, and they do it.
yeah.
Not everybody can do that, bro. Not every, and most, I would say most people can't do
Most,
that.
yeah, and the fact that corn is so popular is a testament to that fact that
Mm,
most people cannot overcome it,
yeah.
um, because of how powerful it is.
Yeah,
Um,
because it connects to your body, it connects to your nervous system, bro. Like everything that you do, you develop a memory of it, you know what I'm saying? And you get better at it. Like say you start when you start practicing something, you get better at it. And then it becomes like second nature. And so if you're looking at porn and you're doing all that kind of stuff, I'm sorry, corn, and you're doing all that kind of stuff, it becomes second nature so that when you try to pull away from it, all it takes is for you to look at a nice looking girl for, and then not only is your mind right back into the groove, your body, you actually start getting feelings in your body to want to satisfy that desire. You see what I'm saying? And that's where it gets deep.
because we are also habitual creatures. What
Yeah,
you what you gave was actually the correct solution. You gave the spiritual solution to actually dealing with this situation. But
yeah.
what I wanted to focus on, because KD brought up an important an important point. He says, let's be honest, most people in the Western world do not prepare for having kids at all. They screw and then end up with a baby they never accepted.
Consequences.
Yeah, I would say that these are the coincidences of of engaging in lustful desires,
Yeah.
um and what facilitates lustful desires is, of course, the how accessible corn is in society, and how easily accessible it is. But
Mm.
what how does corn affect people physically? Because I want to get into how does corn affect us socially. Okay, what has been the social consequences of corn in society? I want to get into that. But how does corn affect especially men physically? How does it affect? So yeah, body wise, physically, no, psychologically, biologically, how does it affect us?
Um, well, it affects you psychologically 100% because again, like everything is perspective, right? Um, you got successful people out here, and you got unsuccessful people. The difference between a lot of successful and unsuccessful people is their perspective of things. You know what I mean? So you transfer that to corn. Um, corn, it changes your perspective on sex. It changes your perspective on women, women's purpose, everything. Like so, you don't look at women in a normal as normal human beings. You see what I'm saying? Women are objects of pleasure. And so when you take you at corn, it changes your mind to dehumanize women, basically. You know, whether you realize it or not, when you're fully immersed and involved in gratifying that desire, your mind, your psychology has transformed to looking at women as objects of pleasure. You don't see them as human beings. Now, you might see a woman that you're not attracted to as a normal woman or a normal person, normal human being. But as soon as you see a woman that you're attracted to, that you find attractive, she's beautiful. You don't see her as a person. You don't see her as a soul. somebody with a personality, as a life, as somebody's daughter who they raised up to be a good person. You don't that doesn't, like, you don't see them as that. You just see them as an object of pleasure. You see them as an object of gratifying that desire. Even if you can't get with the woman, your perspective of them is going to be that, and even you seeing them will can spark something in you to try to go and feel that desire, fulfill that desire elsewhere.
Would you
You see what
call
I'm saying?
would you call that dopamine?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Dopamine is involved in that whole process. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Um, so yeah, it's just the and dopamine is involved in with a lot of. I mean, dopamine comes with everything. Even people that get a thrill off of robbing people, dopamine is involved in that.
yeah,
You see what I'm
wow.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's just everything that we do involves dopamine, bro. You know what I'm saying? From the time we chill, it's connected to that nature in our mind of desire
Yeah.
to fulfill a desire.
Because
You see what I'm saying?
I always because we know how promiscuity can affect women negatively biologically with oxytocin, because women produce high levels of oxytocin. So when they keep breaking that bond, that creates the trauma that they eventually inherit, because
Mm,
they create this bonding hormone that's supposed to bond them to that one person. But because they are living a promiscuous lifestyle, they keep breaking that bond. They continue
mm,
to break that, which leads to trauma. But what I hear, for example, in the red pill and the manosphere space, is that a lot of people, they look at almost as sex as, it doesn't really affect men. It's
mm.
it's not as bad for women as it's not as bad for men as it is for women. And but then when I look at the entire sex industry and I see who's funding it, it's men.
Yeah,
When I look at the whole sex industry, it's funded by men. It's men paying for OnlyFans. It's men validating bad behavior from women online, always liking naked pictures of girls online. It's men
yeah.
on these girls' Instagram. It's men doing all of that is funded by men. So I always thought, I said, that doesn't make any sense to me. How
Mm,
Hey, yes, we know it affects women negatively, but it must also affect men negatively also,
yeah,
because they're funding it.
yeah. As a human being, right? We got so much energy to dish out. You know what I'm saying? And that energy is balanced between all the different aspects of life that we balance. And so when we're addicted to corn, or we have an issue with lust, um, that insatiable desire for lust, it actually takes a lot of energy away from us that can be channeled into different areas of our life. And so that's why there, like, it's become such an issue, and it stifles so many men from being successful or getting the most out of themselves, getting the most out of life, because it's taking energy away from them. You see what I'm saying? And people are putting time and energy into that, fulfilling that desire. When you really think of it in the clearest perspective, it's just like a couple of minutes of pleasuring a part of your body that just vanishes just like that. But they'll create their whole life around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have become successful, and they'll chase success for it. And the motive of it is that to have more access to that, fulfilling that desire. Imagine people get money just so they can have all the girls in the world they want. You know what I'm saying? I hear people out here for a lot.
That is the red pill message.
Yeah,
That is the red pill message is become successful, so you have the say so when it comes to women, and you can have sex with as many women as you want, because that
yeah,
is that is the red pill message. Because when you are successful, because most women today, because they are so materialistically driven, they are going for only a certain percentage of men on a certain pay bracket. So
mm,
going for the 20% of men, because modern women unfortunately have become very materialistic.
mm,
So they've they've perverted their own hypergamy. Hypergamy is a
mm,
good thing, but it's not to be perverted. Like many things, people have perverted. They've perverted sex, hypergamy, and so on. So because women are only chasing a certain percentage of men, the red pill message is, look, listen, chase if you want to get all these women, if you want to you have to get to that 20% of men. Once you get
Mm,
to that 20% of men, these women will be flocking to you. And guess what? Now you have the upper hand. But
yeah.
everything, like you said, everything is driven around. Everything is
Mm,
is is all for that pleasure. It's to,
mm,
it's all for sex. That's it.
yeah.
That's the motive behind it all.
Yeah. One parallel to that lifestyle, and to people who live that life is selfishness. Anybody who lives that way, or who chases it with all their heart, or who actually achieves that and lives that way, they will always be extremely selfish. There will be a lack of love and concern for other people in their life when they prioritize that in their life. You see what I'm saying? It can't go. You can't be a person that's intimate and really have a care and concern about people for real, and be fully indulged in that type of lifestyle. It just can't happen. You have to be an extremely selfish individual. Now, I've had times in my life where I had that kind of access. It was a time where I was going to college in Miami, and I ended up getting a job at one of the nightclubs on South Beach, and I was a bouncer. You see what I'm saying? And from the time, before, when I was in Miami, before I got the job, I should get girls or whatever you want to call it. I was young, but it was more difficult to chase that desire in that sense. But once I got the job in the club working security, I was getting numbers, from beautiful girls every single night. And I was able to actually fulfill the lifestyle, that desire that I always kind of dreamed about, you can say. You know what I mean? And once I had the access and began to deal with women on a regular basis, sexually, bro, um, I realized this ain't all what it summed up to be. You know what I mean? And that hit me real fast. It's like, put it like this: when you look at corn, and your imagination is totally taking you over, and your imagination has reached the peak of the fulfillment or desire or pleasure, however you want it to be. But when you're with a real person, you know what I'm saying, a woman who is a person that's not a actor, and they ain't controlled by your imagination. You see what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be what you think every time. So it's like, I would say, like 8 out of 10 women that I would be with, well, it just was, there's always issues. You know what I'm saying? Maybe two of them I enjoyed, but the other eight, it was always something wrong, something involved, because it's like you don't realize you're dealing with people. This ain't just your imagination no more. You watching corn, bro. You dealing with real people. Women are people with problems, bro, with history, with past and things internal, and like, so now you're dealing with a person. You're trying to fulfill that thing with a real person, and it's not the same. And
And bro,
so,
just to
yeah,
add to what you're saying, a lot of people ask me why is it a sin to have sex? What's wrong with sex? What people don't understand is there's nothing wrong with sex. Sex was created by God for us to enjoy within the boundaries of marriage. Okay, that's sex is a beautiful thing. Nothing wrong with sex at
yeah,
all.
that's right.
Promiscuity is wrong. Okay, and
Mm,
the reason why having sex outside of marriage is wrong, or having promiscuous sex, where you're having sex with loads of women, is because of how you view that person. You view that person as a sexual object. You're
mm,
only in pursuit of pleasure. And when you look at sex, sex is not just a pleasurable act. It's a pleasurable act that leads to human life.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah. You,
And
you you create spirit. It's spiritual. You creating spirits. People that have spirits are come out of this situation. So you So
yeah,
it can't be. It's nothing but spiritual, bro, and you can't get around it. As much as you try to unspiritualize it, you have when you sleep with somebody, it is a spiritual act because it creates a spirit.
bro,
It creates.
can you just hold on a second for me, please? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
a moment. Yeah, just give me a second, please. Yes, people. Yes, people. My bad. My bad. Uh, and we are back.
All
Yes.
right.
Sorry to disturb your train of thought. Yes. Go ahead, bro.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah,
Actually, what I was basically saying was that's what makes it sinful. It's the selfishness behind it. It's the fact that you stop looking at that woman as a human being created in God's image. You start looking at her as a sexual object, something to just pleasure yourself with. And because of that, and it's dangerous not just for her, it's dangerous for you as well. Because if you keep going down that path, you're only going to look at people as just something to use for your own benefit,
yeah,
for your own gratification.
mm,
And
yeah,
it doesn't just affect your relationship with women per se, it will affect all your other relationships, all everything else around you. It will affect you.
mm,
It will have
yeah.
an impact on you.
It's
Yeah,
right. That's right. You know, again, the whole selfishness thing, bro. You have to be extremely selfish to indulge and enjoy that lifestyle. There's no other way to really live that way without being extremely selfish. Like I said, I always had that desire and thought of to be a dream to do that kind of stuff, as many young men do. You know what I mean? But once I had access to being able to do that, I real because I'm not super selfish. You know, I'm selfish like any other person. Like we all can be selfish in our own different ways, but because I'm not overly selfish in the sense, and I care about people to a degree, I couldn't indulge in that lifestyle, and I began to realize it. Like, wait a minute, man, this girl. Like, so I'm just give you a couple of examples. Some women I would meet at the club, fine as can be. In my imagination, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. Da, da, da. I got it all played out in my head. I'm looking at her shape, how beautiful she is. Then when it come down to getting in the situation with the woman, then things start to happen. Human stuff start to happen. You see what I'm saying? It's like she start acting like she's not really about it. But up to that point, she act like she was about it. But now we about to get down. And it's like, wait a minute, she acting like she don't really want to do it. I'm like, yeah, you cool? You sure you? Oh yeah, yeah, I'm good. But I can sense like, nah, she don't really want to do that, but she forcing herself to. And that will bother me because I'm not that selfish. Other guys who are extremely selfish, who don't care, they like, yeah, yeah, they do their thing and keep it moving because they're selfish. They don't care. But me, because I'm not that selfish, that will bother me. You know what I'm saying? Or other ladies, I get with, and you're doing a thing, and then certain stuff they're doing while you're doing it, it's just like, man, why is this girl making noises like that? And it just you feel, and some women I feel like I'll be actually with a demon, like their whole countenance will change, their face will change, like how they acting change when you in the act. And it just seems like the person that you knew up until the point when you started doing the thing with them, they completely turn into a different person. And if they're even a person at all, I feel like you with some creature or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
I know.
it's yeah, bro. Listen, man, it is not like people are people, bro. You dealing with people with spirits, you dealing with people who done been. You don't like when you having one night stands, bro. You don't know what these women have been through, and when same thing with women who been with guys, they don't know. You don't know what kind of things or people that these men been with or these women have been with, or what they done been through in life, who done raped them and molested them as a child, or they done put all kind of spirits in them. Man, look, man, this is a spiritual thing, and or sex is the one of the most accessible things for demons to get from one person to another. Sex and trauma. You see what I'm saying? Now you got sexual trauma from childhood, and when people go through the sexual trauma from childhood, I personally believe, from my observation for many, many years now, that this is how the that LGBT spirit gets into people. Now, people can argue with me today, and have their opinion about it, but from my observation, continual observation, I've known people personally, and I've even asked people I didn't know, just out of observation, to see if this is a consistency, and it is. Most people who are into that lifestyle have been traumatized from childhood before they reach the age of puberty. You know what I'm saying? Even sometimes after, but there's always a trauma involved sexually that will lead a person into that lifestyle, that where this spirit will lock in into a person's life to lead them in that direction, feeling like they can't do anything different. You see what I'm saying? Um, but trauma is a major way that spirits get into people. Sex is a major way that spirits transfer to people. This is why when if you really look into the rituals and things like that of witchcraft, it's always sex rituals. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the devil worshiping stuff they do on Halloween, they having sex.
They're
You
having
see what I'm
sex.
saying? And they shedding blood, and they doing these things, these two things, because the shedding of blood is trauma. Human sacrifice is trauma. This is how spirits get in through trauma. Even with gang banging, I'm gonna tell you, like with gang banging, with Bloods and Crips and stuff like that. Now, obviously, they're not doing witchcraft. They're not into witchcraft and things like that. But it's just because they're doing things that are demonic. Spirits are very much involved in the things that they're doing without them knowing it. So the rituals and rites of initiating a person into a gang is what do? You get jumped in. When you get jumped in, that's a trauma. And that trauma of getting beat the crap out of by like 89 dudes, you know what I'm saying? That's where that spirit comes on you, bro. To be able to do things as a gangster that you wouldn't normally be able to do as a human being on your own. You see what I'm saying? And so there's so much evidence of trauma being a way for spirits to come in, and there's so much evidence if you really observe of sexual situations for spirits to come through and you know what I mean, to transfer. And so yeah, man, like
So
sex is
yeah, I agree with you 100%, bro. You see, because there's so many dimensions to it. There's the physical aspect, there's the spiritual aspect, there's the moral aspect. There's so many different dimensions to it. And we could go on forever basically talking about all of these things and how it can how it can destroy a human being. It can make it almost impossible for you to come out of it, without God's help, without Jesus Christ's help. Um, so what I would say, thing you, KD actually gave you a compliment. I don't mean to say this, but besides Kevin Samuels, this is the only time I've heard an African American speak coherently. Not
yeah, yeah. I guess you don't hear enough of us, man. But I feel you though. I feel you.
a funny guy, bro. A funny guy. Yeah, unfortunately, the ignorant ones always come, always are always the loud ones, isn't it? But yeah, bro. So obviously, do you think there's an agenda? Um, there was an agenda. Sorry, what's his name? Fabian Philman was part of an agenda
Oh
to,
yeah.
knowing what we now know about how knowing what we now know how promiscuity and corn can negatively affect human beings, physically, spiritually, morally. Do you think this guy is part of the agenda to destroy the Western world? Because we are, guys, I know you guys know that I speak a lot about feminism, with the legalization of abortion, the pill. By the way, abortion is the biggest killer right now in the world, by because it claimed 73 million babies worldwide. Just to let you.
Mm.
So feminism, so it is the biggest killing. It was the biggest killing in 2023. Just to give you some stats there for you guys there. Yeah. So now we know through abortion, through the legalization of the pill, and then after that comes the sexual revolution that created the hookup culture that we currently have, and then you have this guy. Then we have the technology becomes highly accessible. This guy makes corn, available everywhere, widespread. So if he was part of an agenda, what is the agenda? I mean, we can see what the agenda is, because people are not reproducing, people are not creating families, even though they're extremely sexually active, extremely lustful. They are not reproducing, they are not creating families. In fact, the birth rate has gone so down that the Western world is not reproducing enough to replace itself. Um, so, what is the agenda, bro? According to you, and was he part of this agenda? Is he part
Yeah,
of it?
yeah, I believe you're part of agenda. I mean, just the fact that he's just so kind of out the way, and behind the scenes, like, but at the same time, like um, this guy has his individual efforts have completely transformed the entire industry. And he's not even old. Bro, dude is like 5 years older than me, man. I'm 41, 40, about to be 42. This guy's like 45 years old, 46 years old,
Is that
you
young?
know? Yeah. And this is a crazy thing, bro. So I do believe that there is an agenda, that he is a part of a higher up group that you don't know about behind the scenes, then he very much knows what he was doing, because he went full head on into this industry first with the German internet industry, and then from there decided to take on the main worldwide industry, for himself, and individually change the entire world, not just by buying out the main. Because, okay, let me put it like this: couple of things he did. The first thing he did was he bought majority shares into the main internet company that's of the majority of the internet corn, right? That's the first thing he did. But
Yes.
what he did that was bigger than that was he created Corn Hub and all the corn, the YouTube type of corn sites. That's what really, really, really changed the entire corn world. And let me tell you what happened. So when he bought Manwin, right?
Yeah.
And Manwin, you got to understand the top corn sites at the time. I'm just naming a few because I was really into this stuff back then. The top corn sites at the time was Reality Kings, um, Bang Bros. Brazzers wasn't even around then, but those are like some of the main ones that was making most of the money online at the time, right? And so when he bought Manwin and he created the Corn Tube sites, Corn Hub, and all other sites, when he created those, people that were buying their content off of Reality Kings and buying their content off of Bang Bros, because remember, once you pay the subscription, you can buy the video and it's your file. And so these people were buying from those sites and then joining the Corn Hub and Corn Tube sites, and posting the content that they bought from those sites on the free sites. So once they start posting the stuff that they bought and posting it on the free sites, now they're making these Reality Kings and Bang Bros and all, they're making them go bankrupt. And they actually tried to sue Fabian Tillman to no avail, because he wasn't making these people put their stuff on his sites. It was the people that actually bought from their sites that was posting. So they had no grounds to sue him. So what they had to do was just come to terms with him, even though he owned them anyway, under Manwin. They had to come to terms with him and change their whole game up just to survive and still make money. So then they would create content to put on the free sites that would hopefully lead them back to their sites so they can make something. You see what I'm saying? So he swindled the whole game, bro. It's like it's too genius the way he did it, bro. And I'm just like, man, there's no way this brother is not one of them ones, bro.
One of them. One.
Yeah, bro. There's
Um.
no way, man.
Hassan made a good point. The spiritual solution is the only way to overcome the problem of the flesh.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely
yeah,
right.
that's right, man. That's right. I can attest to that, bro. 100%, man. You
Yeah.
know, like I said, bro, I was, and it's the thing, like it gets so bad, like the addiction, the spiritual side of it is okay. You gotta understand, you're dealing with the kingdom of darkness, right? We've heard that term, the kingdom of darkness. Darkness. Well, one thing you gotta understand about darkness is you can't see, bro. You know what I mean? Darkness, you cannot see. When you're in a room that's completely dark, You cannot see where you're going. You cannot see what can potentially harm you. And so when you're dealing with the kingdom of darkness, the things that they're doing, like the tools and the strategies that the kingdom of darkness is using against you, you will not be able to see it, bro. You might be able to see some things and be like, oh, okay, I see this. Let me try to change this. But nah, bro, you cannot see how deep, how dark it really is, bro. You can't see what is really coming at you, coming after you, because it's darkness. It's obscure. You see what I'm saying? And we need the light. We need the light of Jesus Christ. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He says, I'm the light of the world. You know what I'm saying? He says, walk while you have the light before darkness overtakes you. The man who walks in the dark does not know where he is going. You see what I'm saying?
And I would argue that most society, when we look at the Western world today, most people don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
And why? Because look at the consequences of it. And
Mm,
you know, a lot of people will say, bro, they will say, oh, it's just you know, it doesn't mean anything. You know, corn. It's just a little bit of fun. Just a
yeah.
little bit of fun on the side. You know, it's you know, for some for it's a phase. You know, they call it a
Yeah.
phase. You know, it's just a phase that you go through. You know,
Mm,
you're not supposed to. You know, if you get addicted, there's ways there's non-spiritual ways of overcoming it. It's just a phase. It's just a little bit of fun. I,
yeah.
I want to because they try to lessen the seriousness of the impact of corn in the Western world, and and I think that making corn so widespread and so available is
Mm,
one of the things, of course, along the legalization of the pill and abortion, which were instrumental to create the hookup culture. Um, I think I think corn was instrumental to create the problems that we currently are facing. So I
oh,
want
yeah.
I wanted to get to what kind of problems do we see
Mm,
in society that corn that you would say corn is responsible for?
yeah. Well, like I was saying, is the perception. Your perception of women is totally jarred. Your perception of what sex is really all about is completely jarred. Um, it it messes up your psychology. It takes your energy away from you. You know what I mean? The consequences of pursuing sex outside of marriage. You have children with women that you're not with, and so you deal with the struggles and problems of raising a child with somebody you're not with, and somebody who's in that situation can only tell you how hard that situation can actually be, raising a child with a stranger, a
Sorry,
stranger.
stop there. You see, guys, I want you guys to just pay attention to one thing that my bro just mentioned here, right? I mean, this is logical. To me, it is logical. If I'm having sex with different women, the likelihood of me getting them pregnant, if I'm living a promiscuous lifestyle, the likelihood of me getting pregnant, and this is how a lot of single mothers come about, by the way. You know, they just having indiscriminate sex with different people, different people, and
Mm,
in the name of fun, in the name of just having fun, and then one of them gets pregnant.
mm,
Of course, th- they just had sex. They were focused on the pleasure side of things. They were not.
mm,
They never planned to be parents. They never sat down. They never said, you know what, let's get married. You know, let's be. They didn't do any of that. And
yeah.
if you're having sex with many different women, aren't you increasing the chances of getting one of them pregnant?
Well,
You are.
that's the power of the desire, though. So when you are completely caught up, when that desire takes over an individual, you get like a mental blockages of the realities of the consequences. You see what I'm saying? This is why people end up with kids and all types of situations. Be- Um, because when that desire takes over you, it takes over like not just, it takes over your whole life in the moment of chasing that desire. You see what I'm saying? Like you're not thinking about, oh, I could possibly have a kid. You just think about that pleasure, and that's it, bro.
That's
That's
it.
it.
That's
That
it.
that's it. You're not thinking about nothing else, man. And this is why so many people have children outside of marriage. And you don't realize, like,
Why
okay,
we have so many, why we have a single mother epidemic right now, a single mother culture that keeps rising and rising.
mm,
So we've established pretty much, sorry, bro, but we've established pretty much that corn is directly linked to why we have a single mother culture. Why? Because it helps men and women think in a promiscuous way. And if you
mm,
think in a promiscuous way, you're gonna want to act upon it. And if you're gonna
yeah,
act upon it, you're gonna increase the likelihood of what? Getting pregnant,
mm,
having babies outside of marriage and so on and so forth.
yeah, exactly. You know, another consequence too, bro, is say you don't have kids, like you just somebody you just sleeping around with, right? The emotional turmoil that it brings upon an individual, upon women, especially women. You know, men are a bit more can handle, but even men go through the same type of emotional turmoil. You know, this is why you hear, you know, at least over here in the States, I don't know about there, but you over here, you hear a lot of about dudes killing their wives and killing their girlfriend, their baby mamas. You know, I just saw in the news articles today. This dude killed his girlfriend. We had four of his kids because she started dating another dude after they broke up. And you know, the emotional term. And this girl was beautiful, bro. And she messed him up, and with the emotional turmoil, bro. Um, that it brings upon you when you sleeping with somebody on a regular basis. Remember, I was talking about that bond, that you know, that spiritual bond that's created, you know, when you have sex with somebody. Like a one night stand, you might not have no spiritual bond. You see what I'm saying? It's a one night stand. But when you are sleeping with somebody who you like, you're engaging with them, you know, have some type of friendship or some type of relationship, and you're having regular sex with them, you're creating a spiritual bond with that person that you don't realize. So then, even if you know, so okay, I'm gonna give you an example. A guy sleeping with a girl, and he knows this girl is a hoe, right? He knows that she all kind of dudes sleep with this girl, and she's not the type to wife up. He has no intent on wifing her up, right? But he's sleeping around with this girl regularly. Soon as he finds out that she slept with dude who she know around the corner, he hurt. Even though he trying to convince himself he hurt. He like, oh no, she a hoe anyway, man. But he actually hurt deep inside because he don't realize he's created that spiritual bond because he sleeps with this girl all the time. You see what I'm saying? You can't, and when you create that spiritual bond with somebody who not yours, you're opening up the doors for all types of turmoil and the same types of emotions that people feel with divorce or with infidelity in marriage. It's the same type of spiritual emotion that you're putting on yourself when you're sleeping around with somebody, and you know you break up with them or you find out they're messing around with somebody else. You see what I'm saying? Because but when you sleeping with your wife, you know, your wife, you creating a bond. If you're not sleeping with your wife and you're married, and you're not sleeping with your wife, then the doors are being open for you to go out and cheat, and that's how people end up getting divorced.
A good way
You see
of
what I'm
looking
saying?
a good way of looking at what you're saying is if we tell to all the men listening to this podcast and this conversation right now, imagine a woman that you truly like, you really, really, really like, you like having sex with. Imagine her sleeping with another man or a man that you know. Imagine that pain. All right. Imagine that rage that you feel. Imagine that anger that can take over you. Even though, like, my bro, just imagine that. I just want you to picture that for 1 second. Just imagine that rage. That what does that show is when men and women come together, there is an emotional attachment there, especially when we like that person. We
Mm,
we build that bond, and when that bond is broken, it can lead to the emotional turmoil that Elijah is talking about. And it's funny you mentioned, just to add to what you're saying. Do you know what the punishment for adultery was in the Old Testament? Death.
stone.
Death.
Yeah, stone, man. But
So
hey, you know what's crazy too? I was gonna say, like, bro,
serious.
you know,
So hold on,
I
hold
was
on.
gonna say, you know how like how you got friends with benefits, right? People talking
Yeah,
about friends with benefits, bro. That is just you are inviting a whole mess on yourself when you try to do that, man. You know what I mean? Like friends
yeah.
with bro. Listen, okay,
Polyamory, polyamory, polyamory relationships.
yeah. So you leaving the door open to destroy each other, basically. You know what I'm saying? Without realizing it, like, and in your mind, you're thinking, "Oh man, I ain't trying to be attached, man. I ain't trying to be caught up in no relationship," kind of mindset. But then you don't realize that you're putting yourself in a relationship anyway. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's something we try to deceive ourselves into thinking like, "Oh yeah, she ain't my girl." But yeah, we be doing this and that, but she ain't my girl though. No, she is your girl, bro. She's your wife, actually. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually, you ain't saying it. You're trying to convince yourself, out of the situation apart from what it really is. As soon as you start sleeping with that woman, bro, she is your wife. You have created a bond that is no different from a husband with a wife, regardless of how you feel about her, regardless of how if you want to be with her or if you don't want to be with her. You have created a bond with that woman that is the same as a husband and a wife. And when you leave that woman or when you break up with her for whatever reason or part ways, the emotions that you're gonna feel, the spiritual or spiritual emotions that are the same as a woman with a husband with a wife. You see what I'm saying? Imagine you got a boyfriend and girlfriend dating for like 3 or 4 years and they break up. That emotional pain is not going to be any different from a husband and a wife. You might deceive yourself into thinking it is, but it's not. The emotional pain is going to be exactly the same. It's divorce pain. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're absolutely right, brother. I don't disagree with nothing you're saying.
Yeah, these
You're
are
absolutely
consequences,
right.
bro. These are some of the consequences of sexual promiscuity and doing this thing apart from the marriage situation. People ask like, "Oh man, what a marriage? Why should I get married? It's just a piece of paper." No, it's it's showing that it's a commitment. Like, okay, you can commit and try not to have the paper, but you can easily walk away. But when you have the paper, it's showing, look, I'm committed to this person, and I'm making this solid. I'm solidifying this commitment. You see what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
not only that, but
the piece of paper is just a physical representation of the spiritual commitment that you made with that person. It's just a document to it's something physical for people to see, but the real commitment happens spiritually.
yeah,
The document is just there to be proof of that spiritual commitment that you are now have made. That's
mm,
it. That's
yeah,
it. That's all it is really. Um,
yeah,
so looking at other consequences. So we've looked at single motherhood can come from promiscuity, and promiscuity comes from the widespread uh the put it pushing corn out there, the widespread availability of corn.
mm,
Um, so all of that adds to the promiscuity, and promiscuity adds to um to single motherhood and so on and so forth. What other consequences? What other consequences? We look and we looked at as well the emotional turmoil um, that happens once that bond is severed, and the type of nonsense that men make themselves believe. We make ourselves, no, she didn't mean anything to me, when deep down she did. um
yeah.
okay, what other consequences do we see in society? I've looked at the fact that marriages have declined, and they continue to decline. Is that also connected to corn?
Well, yeah, it can add to that. It can add to marriages declining. I think one of the reasons why a lot of marriages decline is because of a lack of sexual bonding, man. You know what I mean? It's crazy because when you ain't married, like you having all the sex in the world, but when people get married, now you're in a situation where you can't really have sex with anybody anymore. You're not supposed to. A lot of people do, and they end up divorced or whatever. But you're in a situation where you're the only person you're supposed to be having sex with is your spouse, and so, but when that's not going right, it it just it all falls apart, man. This is why, like, I really encourage people, dude, if you gonna be married, man, you have to be having sex with your wife all the time, even if you don't feel like it. Just create this pact with your wife, with your spouse. Create a pact with
Mhm.
them and be like, look, no matter what we going through, we gonna do what it do. Because, bro, it creates such a bond. Like when you not sleeping with your wife, with your partner, especially as a man, it's all types of beautiful women out here, man. And when your wife isn't giving it to you, bro, and then you leave the house upset and you go out somewhere to have a drink to cool off, and then you see some baddie look that's younger than your wife, look better than your wife, and she giving you time, she listening to you, and she ready to do what it do. That is a bad, bad situation, bro. You
And
know what
it
I'm saying?
also be because of the bad habits that we've built throughout the years. Because if we've been living an active promiscuous lifestyle, all types of bad habits comes with living
Mm,
a lifestyle,
yeah.
and that's what makes it even more difficult to be faithful to that one person. Because remember, we've been engaging in lust, we've been lust
Mm,
women, because that's what living a promiscuous lifestyle is living in lust.
yeah.
So when it comes to committing yourself to one woman, it becomes a it becomes very difficult. It becomes extremely difficult because
Mm-hmm.
because um because it's not that you don't want to. It's that you've built you've built so many bad habits, that I think it goes to your point, because what you're saying is have sex loads of times, have sex as much as possible with your wife. But I think the reason why you're saying that is to also overcome all the bad habits that you've acquired, so you can build a new bond with your wife,
Yeah.
and it's almost trying to forget, the bonds that you've built throughout the years, that didn't
Yeah.
lead to, fruitful relationships, or marriage. And now you're stuck with that one woman, and you're like, you know what, I have to kind of get rid of all these, bad bonds that I've managed to build throughout the years.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I mean, you not only get rid of that habit, but to create a strength between you and your spouse, man. It really, really strengthens you, man. Like it strengthens your bond, your bond. It strengthens your togetherness, and it makes you one. Like when the Bible says the two become one flesh, bro, you feel that. Like you become one with your partner, man. You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, okay, let me give you an example. You're married, but when you're not married, so you meet a girl, you just met her, you sleep with her, and then you wake up, or you finish, and the spiritual aspect of sex, like when you finish with a person that you don't know, you feel almost like they're invading your privacy. You feel like you know that woman more than, even though you know nothing about her, you feel like you actually known her from childhood almost after you slept with her. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I think that's why the Bible used to say, oh, he knew her. You know what I'm saying? Because when you sleep with a person, like with a chick you don't really know, it's like you all of a sudden know more about them than you realize, than you actually know. You know what I'm saying? And they
Yeah.
know you, and then you get this sense that they know you in a way that they're not supposed to know you. That's why you quick to put your clothes on and be like, yo, I gotta go. You see what I'm saying? Because you feel like your privacy is invaded.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And yeah, because like yeah, you know somebody when you know what I mean, in a weird spiritual way that's just hard to pinpoint because it's spiritual. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And
yeah.
so this is, but at the same time, in a marriage situation, it strengthens, it bonds, it's good. That's what it's for. You see what I'm saying? It's for marriage. It's
And,
not for
and
the.
I would argue, especially if you're not a virgin, you did not get married as a virgin, uh,
Mm,
and you've inherited all that, you know, all that, all those bad habits. Or sorry, you've built all those bad habits throughout the year, throughout the years of you not being married and engaging in promiscuity. I think is very, very, very important to help you overcome. those type of things. We've got Project VO Pod. What's going on? He's from America as well.
Okay.
And he's impressed. He's impressed, bro. He goes, just came in, just stood calling out Halloween and spirit influences on point. He wants to join in. I'm gonna put the link. I'm gonna put the link in there, so you can join in as well. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. Um, yes, we've got two Americans here today. Sorry, guys, I haven't been able to look at the entire chat. Everyone's been sending loads of messages. So salute to everyone. Salute to everyone. You know, getting something productive that
Yes,
you
sir.
don't usually hear in other podcasts. You know, and that's not to put down any other podcasts out there, but it is important to have these discussions.
Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah, man.
outside of the norm uh, that you see out there.
Yeah, cause we living in the information age. It's a lot of garbage being circulated, man, and people grabbing onto it and they don't know it's garbage, man.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely
Yeah.
true. That's absolutely true.
You know, see Emerald tablets and Sumerian tablet stuff and all this kind of craziness, man. That's a whole nother. I'm dealing with people on that kind of stuff right now,
Bro, you
man.
need to join me for those type of topics as well, because we have to get into that. Uh, yeah, Hassan, feel free to join in as well if you got something to add. Because I think me and my brother here we've um we've covered the topic. Of course, we can go on forever about this topic, but we've covered the topic pretty well so far. I'm just going to read out some of these comments quickly, yeah, bro. Um, Octavio, what's most contact for the Discord? I know the Brogy one. My bad about that. Uh, um, uh, Trust me, it will get sorted. Um, okay, KD. I can join in, but I don't want to invade their conversation. I just joined in. I don't know what have been said in the past hour. Project VO Pod, can you join the Discord? KD Project, basically what it says in the title, they are discussing porn usage and how it's affecting society. Okay. Listen, guys. Rashid says the Bro G1. I can't see the link. Add me on the Discord Red Machine all night. Okay, guys, it's a lot of messages to go through. But yeah, the link is there. The link is there. We're trying to to keep this conversation as productive as possible because I think it's going to help out a lot of people. I think this is the root issue uh, that leads so many men astray,
Yeah.
and it's lust. Lust is one of the seven deadly sins, and it's one of the seven deadly sins for a reason. Um, and if you guys don't know what feminism was really brought about lust, it commercialized lust, it industrialized lust,
Mm,
and one of the consequences that I wanted to talk to you about as well um, is abortion, which is one of the consequences of lust,
mm,
and it kills 73 million unborn babies.
yeah, man.
We are living in the biggest holocaust that human race has seen, and no one is batting an eyelid. Okay,
Mm,
73 million babies worldwide are being murdered consistently every year, and no one talks about it. And
mm,
it comes and my argument is that it's due to lust. Most of the
yeah.
abortions that these women are having, it's got to do because the baby is an inconvenience to their lifestyles. That's the reason for most of these abortions. And why are they having these abortions? Because they are having sex outside of marriage, and they are engaged in that hookup culture. And of course, if you are engaged in that hookup culture, living a promiscuous lifestyle, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get pregnant at some point, and then
Yeah.
you don't if you don't want the baby, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna go up to the, your local hitman, and the guy is going to
Mhm.
the baby for you, and that's another big problem with corn.
Mhm.
Corn helps that. It helps that because it makes people become even more promiscuous.
Yeah,
Corn is even worse because what corn really does is you're not dealing with a human being. It's not a human being in front of you. You don't care about that. But a human being, like my brother said, a human being has feelings. A real human being has problems. They have situations. When you look at the actual human being, it's very
yeah,
different from the image that you see on a screen. The image that you see on the screen is just something that they're acting something out that's allowing you to indulge in your selfishness, in your, you know,
yeah.
you just
It's
want to.
really it's actually the actors are just facilitating your imagination. It's more from your imagination than it is from the actual thing that you're watching. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
That's
And
right.
so like and so your imagination is in full control of the way the woman is, in your mind. So whereas when you see the real dealing with the real woman, now you're dealing with a real person, you're dealing with emotions, and you're dealing with a vibe, a spiritual vibe. And that vibe it would throw you off from how your imagination controls things to be. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Unless, like I said, unless you're that selfish, where you can override all of that, and just get what you get out of it because you're extremely selfish. But if you have any humanity in you, bro, like it's just not gonna be what you think it is. It's not gonna match up to what you act out in the.
I think corn takes away the humanity. Um,
Yeah,
the purpose of corn is to take away the humanity, um, uh, that a human being has towards another human being. So I mean, you're not remember when you're watching corn, you're not looking at them as real human beings. You're looking at them as objects to satisfy your own sexual desires. So you're just looking at them as objects, and that's what it facilitates. That's what it helps. It helps that imagination. It helps solidify that imagination, which affects your spirit. And
yeah,
once it affects you spiritually, it stops you from looking at human beings as human beings. Uh,
yeah.
that's what it does. Hassan has a question. Before we continue with this point, what was his business plan? More T and A. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know if he's talking about in regards of Fabian Filman. Uh, so I'm not sure. Uh, So that corn leads to more abortions, and and I don't know how people feel about that, uh, about abortions, but abortions to me is murder. You are murdering innocent children. So that's another one of the consequences of corn.
It
Um,
leads to irrationality, and the irrationality leads to abortion. You know what I mean? Because like when you're going for that desire, you become completely irrational.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't like the only thing that matters is the fulfillment of that desire. All the consequences other than the fulfillment of the desire, they
go.
get completely blanketed out of your mind. You see
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? I equate it to this. It's like when you go to a theme park and there's this dope roller coaster ride you want to get on, right?
Mm.
And you sit in a line for 2.5 hours in this long line to get on this roller coaster ride. When you finally get to the roller coaster ride, it's like 15 seconds and then you're done. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much how it is. Like the desire or the chase to fulfill that desire is the waiting in the line for 2.5 hours. But
Yeah.
when you actually get that desire, you know, it's the 15-second ride and then you're done and you're like, man, I done wasted all that time and energy just for that. But you didn't think about that when you was waiting in that line though. You just couldn't wait to get on that ride though. The whole time you was willing to wait that long and expound that much energy to fulfill that desire. But once you got it, it's like, man, that's it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you don't become awakened to the reality of what you did until after the fact.
But I think because sex is such a powerful it's such a powerful thing. Uh,
Mm,
it can it's very addictive. You know,
mm,
it's very
yeah,
addictive.
man.
I think that's the reason why that's what leads so many people astray. It's because sex is such it's such a it's pleasurable, powerful feeling that you can easily get addicted to it, and I
Yeah.
think and I think that's the reason why so many people, you know, kind of fall for it. And I mean, how big is the corn industry,
Oh
like
man.
money wise?
Um, it's they make way more money than Hollywood. Let me put it like that, bro. The corn industry is generating way more money than Hollywood, man. Um, I can't give you statistics particularly, bro, but you gotta imagine, just imagine you can go on your smartphone right now, type in anything on Google, bro, and you will have access to anything. I can look up Chinese midgets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Type it in on Google, and I will find something for free
for free.
immediately.
Yeah,
Immediately. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? And so you can only imagine how bad it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's become so regular amongst everybody, and that obviously nobody talks about it.
I,
You
I
know
also
that.
I also want to touch on how degenerate our corn is actually becoming, because it's becoming worse and it's becoming more. What's the word? It's becoming more. Um, more dark. It's becoming darker and darker. It's not just the type of stuff that now people are into, or what corn promotes.
Mm.
Actually becoming dark. It's not just regular sex, two human beings having sex. It's a mother and her son, or
Oh yeah, that's the they got these crazy themes. Yeah, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bro,
and
it's of his wickedness, bro.
yeah, and all types of like homosexuality. Now, you've got the cuck, where the man, the man, there's a man there present while another man is having sex, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Project VOPod, it brought an interesting point, and I wish Project VOPod, feel free. I sent the link on the chat, guys. Please know the score tonight. Know the score tonight, please. Um, he brought up a point which we've covered, but I just want to bring it back again. They have done studies about men thinking about their women having sex with another man. It's very interesting. Women did not have the same outcome. Men effing women is not the same as women effing around. Again, it's this idea that promiscuity has more of a negative impact on women than on men.
Mm.
I don't agree.
Yeah, I don't really agree. I mean, men and women have these differences, but we are human beings, bro. It's like I don't think women desire it any less than men, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? We just go about it differently, and it may appear that men desire more than women, but nah, it's the same. It's equated, bro.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's equated differently.
yeah, yeah, just going about differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We don't produce as much oxytocin as women, but it does affect us negatively in other ways as well. It does.
yeah,
This is what I'm trying to say. This is why I always bring up the fact that the entire sex industry is funded by men. It's funded by men because it affects us. It affects us physically, affects us spiritually, affects us in every way. But and to such an extent where, why do you think women are going ahead and becoming what they are becoming? They're becoming a bit more promiscuous. Why is that? Why? Because men are willing to pay for it. Men are
yeah, man, yeah.
for
Women
it.
gonna follow whatever men do.
Yeah,
That's just the way of the world, you
it's
know. And so if men are creating something, women just gonna follow suit, bro.
because we're the leaders and women are
Right,
followers. So guess
right.
what? Men are leading women into this type of lifestyle. And the minute we stop giving these women attention and money for for lust, basically. When that stops, that's when women will have to rethink their choices. So what do we do now? They're not paying for OnlyFans. They're not paying for us to shake whatever or have sex or all of that. So what do we do now? They're gonna have to change. They're gonna be forced to change. KD said, "What if you want two wives?"
Man, you deal with one first and then see if you want another one, bro. Deal with one, man. See if you can handle two. I don't think so, bro. You know, dealing with one is a task, man. It's a handful already. You try to deal with two, man. You asking for a death sentence. You cutting years off your life, man.
I always say, people always bring up, oh, what about the prophets in the Bible that had many wives? Listen, guys, it made sense at the time because they were a small community, you know, and
Mm,
and they had to become bigger and they had to, reproduce and so on. It made sense at the time, but it wasn't what God intended. That was
yeah.
that was not God's intention from the very beginning. So first,
No.
God's intention, and second, it was a small community, and they had to, if they had more women that and less men, they needed to procreate, in order to, get more men and so on and so forth. But it's not for the way people think of polygamy these days. It's literally just to satisfy some sexual fantasy, because they think
Yeah.
sexually.
Yeah.
They're not thinking of
Then
they're
I
not
think about dealing with two different people, bro. You know what I'm saying? People. You know what I'm saying?
it's a headache. They
And
are
then
headache, bro.
yeah, and then like, bro, at the same time, like, think about it. If you got they okay, we hear these stories about all the prophets in the Bible. Solomon had what? Well, his wives was his downfall. You know, we know about that. But David had multiple wives. You know, to be honest, ain't really nobody else in the Bible like that had multiple wives besides them. If you really think about it, David is the only one out of all the Bible, the men in the Bible, and Solomon.
And
These are like the only ones that had multiple wives. Like all the other men before that, Moses didn't. You know, he had one wife. Adam had one wife. Abraham, he had one wife. Okay, he had the maid servant. It wasn't his actual wife, but
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, the maid servant, he had the child with the maid servant. But Sarah was just one wife. And so, yeah, you know, there was only one person, David, and then David had issues, bro. Like, you know, they don't get into the details, all the issues he had between his wives and the children and all that. But when you look at his life, bro, like the dude had some issues, man, when it came to, you
Women.
know, managing, yeah, women, you know, managing
And
all
he
the
and
women.
he had very lustful tendencies. Um,
Mm,
I mean, David went as far as killing a man just to sleep with his wife. This is
yeah,
this is how bad, it was for David, you know.
yeah. Well,
So
that's how bad sexual desire can take us, though.
and take us
You know
to,
what I'm
yes,
saying?
sorry, yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah, you can see it all the time. Like I was saying today, I heard a story of a guy who killed his baby mom who ended up dating another guy after they didn't split. And you hear these stories all the time. I swear, like 2 weeks ago, there was a dude down in Fort Lauderdale, killed his ex-wife. You know, he just married some new guy. And he killed the ex-wife and her new husband. I mean, these cases you hear all the time. There's another guy just got arrested because his wife was missing for however many weeks. They just found her body in the back of his house. I mean, these stories are commonplace because this is how serious when that bond is broken. This is how far people can take it, man. You know, this is how far it damages you on the inside, and you know, and there ain't no excuse for them doing that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But this is how bad it can get. You know, it's such, and the consequences of it can take us way beyond what you know what it really supposed to be, man. Um, that's why the Bible say, all other sins a man commits outside of his body, but sexual sin is a sin. The only sin that's considered sinning against your own body. So the effects of other sins on you would not don't equate to the effects of sexual sin on you. The effects of sexual sin are distinguished to be the only sin that's different from all the rest. The scripture says all other sins a man commits outside of his body, but when a man sins sexually, he commits sin against his own body. So the effects of it is going to be different. And and I can vouch for that, because when when that desire comes, when you caught up in that stuff and that desire comes, you can do everything in your mind to reason your way out of it, but the feeling over your body you can't fight. You know what I'm saying? The feeling over your body from engaging in type of stuff and experiencing that pleasure, the
Mm,
feeling over your body is harder to fight than everything your mind can reason not to do it. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's, to a degree, what that is somewhat saying, man. Like, it really affects your body, man. You know what I'm saying? Your nervous system, your, like, is something deeper and it's more serious about that. Like
and
other saying,
yeah, sorry.
mm,
Yeah, yeah, no,
yeah,
I agree with you because I look at how society is so consumed by it, and I mean, to the point where when you look at little children today and you see how sexualized they are, um,
mm,
girls as young as 12 wearing next to nothing. Uh,
mm,
everything is centered around um, uh, the idea of sex. Um, everything is centered around, you know, the sexualization of, so the pleasure of sex. Everything in this society. You can't look anywhere without seeing something that's pushing you to think sexually. Uh,
yeah,
from how women dress to what's in your phone. If you're scrolling through social media, if you
mm,
the TV, everything is so centered on it. Uh,
mm,
and when you look at society, you can see how important it is for the powers that be to pervert sexuality because of how much of a hold it has on human beings.
yeah, bro,
um and how much it can lead us astray. It's a powerful, I reckon it's a powerful tool that the devil definitely uses to control mankind, and to lead them astray, to lead them away from God, because
yeah,
it's so difficult to overcome uh
yeah.
the
It's a
temptation.
hook.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
like a hook, bro. Like, the devil, he put all kind of hooks in people, but that's one of the biggest, most common hooks that he put in people we can't really get out. Another thing I realized about sexual bondage, right, is that it gets so deep that okay, when you're in bondage sexually, bro,
Mm.
you can realize that, okay, man, I'm messed up. I'm pretty messed up in this thing, and being honest with yourself about it. But you hardly will ever come to the realization of how deep. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you can be in bondage. You can get some enlightenment that, okay, man, this thing is bad. I'm really bad in this thing. But even that realization, that enlightenment, don't even come close to how deep you're really into it. How bad it really is. How deep the spiritual dynamic is of it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Um, th-
I agree with you,
yeah,
bro.
there-
I've
there's a,
I've lived that that lifestyle, and you struggle with it from time to time, and but I've been through that lifestyle, and I understand the impact that it has on,
yeah,
as a man, as someone who's lived that lifestyle. I understand
yeah,
how detrimental it can be.
yeah.
uh and
Also,
yeah,
I just
brother.
wanted to add, bro, as well, with that though, with that dynamic, that bondage, it's the powers of darkness of that over a person. There's a cyclical level. There's like a schedule. How can I put this, bro?
Mm,
You know how people can struggle with things in cycles.
yeah,
You see what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So the
yeah.
enemy, not only will he put you in a bondage of just going through the thing, whatever, on a day to day or in a consistent manner, but he can put a higher level of bondage on you that's cyclical, where, you know, at a certain time or a certain day, every month or every 2 months, it's gonna come at you.
It's gonna come at you again. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so he'll put okay, yeah, you might start experiencing some freedom and be like, oh man, finally, I'm free, da 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 da. But then, nah, bro, it ain't that simple.
You
The
let your guard
enemy,
down. You let your
yeah,
guard down and watch.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He got things over you that's built on a calendar basis, bro. You know what I'm saying? We got things set over you that's built on a calendar basis. Bro, this spiritual thing is deep, and I think that also is related to astrology as well, because astrology is from the kingdom of darkness, and astrology is based on cyclical calendar type of spirituality that's built around time. And so the enemy, he also does things and puts things over us, struggles and things like that that's built around time. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, for example, like with money issues, you can have money issues the same time of year every year. How come
yeah.
every year at this time, like you're struggling with, with finances, with money? and,
Yeah.
and, and other types of things as well. You see what I'm saying? Or you might have issues with family members or whoever, like around the same time of the year or the same time of the month. You know what I mean? Things that you don't realize, like the enemy, he got all kinds of stuff that he used that's beyond our our comprehension. That's why it's so important for us to continue to chase God. Not just and we have to chase Him. We got to fight, but we have to chase the Lord too. That's what I was telling you in the beginning.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that it's a spiritual battle. Is way much more than just something physical. We have Jake here and Hassan. Jake has a podcast himself. And
Okay.
Hassan, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Please introduce yourselves. This is my bro here, Elijah. Go ahead, guys.
What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah, what's up, Elijah? Nice to
What's
meet you,
up, bro?
bro.
Be
I'm
nice to
also
meet you
from
too, man.
America.
Okay.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I have a YouTube channel as well here as well called Project Veal Pod, which I just
Okay.
do I don't do live stuff like Octavio here, which I'm going to do it this year. I need to start going live and stuff like that. But yeah, so I basically just do videos, etc. I met this guy on YouTube, just reached out, and he's been nothing but welcoming on his channel as well, man. So
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
that's my introduction. My name's Jake. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, man. I'm Elijah, man. I got a little. I started a channel. I haven't turned it into a podcast yet. Information Age Ministries. I've been going pretty hard on the TikTok lately, but eventually I'm gonna convert that to YouTube.
Nice.
And my brother Octavio, man, is one of my best friends here, man. I was in London for about 12 years, so we got that bond. And so, yeah, man, we always gonna have each other back. It's sharpen iron, man. But what part of the state you in, bro?
Hell yeah, man. Right on.
Yeah, what part of the
What was your
U.S. you in?
question?
Oh, what part of the U.S. you in?
Oh, I'm in Texas.
Oh, you're in Texas.
Yeah,
Okay,
Texas, bro.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm
Shout
actually
out
South
Texas,
Texas,
man.
like
Oh, okay, yeah, like
right
Houston
by the
area,
border, right by the
or
border of
Galveston.
Mexico.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Oh
okay.
no, Brownsville,
Brown.
Texas.
Oh, Brownsville.
It's
Okay. So you know
Elon
why
Musk has.
Hard
Yeah.
is.
And
Now
Hassan,
what's up?
introduce yourself, bro.
My name's Hassan. I sometimes jump in. I'm a long time follower of the show. Appear on
Okay.
now and again. You've covered all the topics I would have mentioned. To be honest with you, I speak to Octavio often, and we speak on similar topics. So, but you're really hitting all the points. My intention was to jump on just to encourage Vio Pod to jump on, but he jumped on at the same time. So that's fine. But yeah, great topic, man. This is a great topic.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Jake, do you have any questions, Jake? Anything to add? I know you've got a lot to say, Jake. Go ahead.
No, so you guys talked about like corn, right? You guys talking about the corn industry, etc. Well, honestly, you guys have been hitting a lot of good topics here, like a lot of good points, anyways. Yes, corn does have I don't know if you guys know this, it has a mental outside of the religion aspect, because you guys have been speaking about that a lot, and I can agree on a religious level. Of course, the corn industry is detrimental to religious religious people, religious in general. It just contradicts the entire Bible. This is why we have so many whores, especially here in America. If you look at it, so many women nowadays have very high body counts. Not only that, if you look at the average of women that are losing their virginity in today's society than they were back then, they're losing their virginity around the age of 13 years old. And this is sickening, bro. You know, this is crazy stuff that they're losing their virginity way earlier than they did back in the day when our parents were growing up, where a woman was a woman and a man was a man. Nowadays, they're confusing our society, where men nowadays are more beta males. They're more feminine, and a big reason for that is because of of course, the single parent households. So
yeah, bro,
it's not a surprise to me. Yeah, dude, it's not a surprise to me that the corn industry is just banking off of this mental illness in today's society. I'll leave it to Hassan if you want to add in.
Yeah, the only thing I could add that's probably worse in the corn industry that I couldn't have imagined maybe a few years ago is OnlyFans, which is essentially a website dedicated. Yeah, although it comes under that bracket, but it's an extended level of only.
yeah,
There is the voyeurism involved in corn, which is
yeah.
soul to the mind, to the spirit, to the time, to everything you can think of, and should be avoided.
You know, I just want to mention the danger with that, what makes OnlyFans maybe a bit more higher level of danger than just normal porn industry stuff, is the fact that you're dealing with regular people. You know, the women that's on there are normal women that you would normally see and meet on a day-to-day basis. They're not porn actors and porn stars. Like, the thing about the porn industry is you're going to see the same actors and actresses, you know, all the time in different videos or whatever. But with OnlyFans, you're going to see normal people. And I think it just there's more of an effect or a bondage, I think, when it comes to like looking at girls who you think are just normal and they're not just some actor who you see all the time. You know what I'm saying? And I think
100%.
and I think as well the same thing goes with bro, Instagram and TikTok now. Like, you know, it's basically OnlyFans with the clothes on. Like, you got women on here doing things on the social media, and like I said, these are average girls, young girls, you know, homemade, normal women. And I think the effect on a person who is enslaved to that, the effect of seeing normal people that you would normally see on an everyday basis, is stronger than just looking at porn actors. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's gotten really bad with the social media, bro. I'm gonna make a video actually, because you know, I've cleaned up my accounts, because, you know, there's been times where I would start, you know, you click on nice looking girls and all of a sudden it starts coming into your feed, and then your feed gets overwhelmed with women popping up all the time. But I found a way to just get rid of
Titties
all of
everywhere.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found a way to get rid of it. So if you go on any of my social medias, I can hand my Instagram page or my TikTok page to my wife or my kids, bro, and nothing will pop up, because I've cleaned it. There's a way you can clean it out. You see what I'm saying? And I went to make a video to kind of give like a tutorial on how to get rid of all that stuff from your social media page. You don't have to get rid of your TikTok or your Instagram, but there's a way, if you want to stay on there and just deal with decent types of things, there's a way you can actually keep that stuff from coming into your feed.
I just wanted to add, guys,
Hell yeah.
that this is partly what me and Elijah were talking about, that these things did not come about by coincidence. These things were done by design. This was an agenda, and the agenda was to create the kind of world that we have today, the kind of problems that we are facing today in the Western world. So this was an agenda. This was purposefully done to bring about the problems that we are currently seeing today, from the legalization of legalization of abortion, to the pill, to the sexual revolution, to the hookup culture, to Fabian Filman coming in and and using technology to make corn available to everyone. this was all done by design. This was all an agenda that created the problems that we currently have, even down to and this is at the root. What we are talking about is so important because this is at the root of single mother households. This is at the root of what abortions. This is at the root of why marriages have declined. This is at the root why your average relationship today lasts less than 3 years. This is at the root why we have so many children being sexualized. This is all at the root of all of these social issues that we are currently facing today, and why the birth rate has declined. Yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, you know.
Well, actually, I was gonna I totally agree with Octavio on that. I'm gonna actually amplify Elijah's point that he made earlier about how all these young men are turning to corn, and they're a lot much more sad nowadays. And he brought up OnlyFans. A big reason, because at first when OnlyFans first came out, you have to realize, corn is free. You don't have to pay for it. You could just look it up. You can literally type in fat girls, black girls, white girls, trans girl, whatever you want to do, the sickest things you want imaginable, you can look it up and you don't have to pay for it. Why is it that when OnlyFans came out, why is it that every man nowadays is simping for this for women? They're simping for women and want them to pay access. Even corn stars are starting OnlyFans and they're making a bunch of money off of these simps. Why is that when corn is free on the internet? It goes much deeper than that, guys. Because the reason why a lot of these young men, the reason why a lot of these young men are paying for OnlyFans is not because they just want to do that and just release and that's it. Dude, a lot of these men are lonely, Mero. They're lonely. We have a men's crisis nowadays that a lot of these men aren't getting the attention from other women. So what are they doing? They're going to OnlyFans. They're paying money to have a girlfriend experience. Especially what you mentioned earlier, the girl that doesn't even look like a corn star. She looks like the girl next door. She looks like a girl that you can actually potentially finesse, get her to be interested in you, like a girl that looks like the girl next door, like a girl that goes to church, etc. They're all on OnlyFans. This is the attraction of a lot of young men on why they're paying for these OnlyFans accounts is not because they want to just whack it and move on. It's because they want the experience. They want the experience of having a girlfriend. That's why you have so many pathetic men paying for this.
So why aren't these men just approaching women?
That's a good question. The reason why they're not approaching women is because of social media. Nowadays, with social media, you have fucking fat chicks, bro. They literally look like 300-pound girls posting pictures and bikini pictures, thinking that they're nines. And you have these sims backing them up, believing, like validating their delusion. So a lot of these women have higher standards. They have no game. Yeah, they have zero game. They don't realize that, dude, back in the day when we were around, I would go to bars, I would talk to girls. Okay. And dude, I have a past, bro. I played in a rock band, a heavy metal band, and I would have to approach women and actually like be charming and nice, etc., to get laid. My body count, Myron Gaines says, yo, you need 50 body counts to understand women. To an extent, he's kind of right because my body count's actually over 50, guys. Like, I know you want to say like, yeah, it's heathenism, whatever. Yes, I understand that. But yeah, in my younger age, when I was playing music, that's what it was. I didn't rely on the internet or anything like that. But at the end of the day, yeah, like young boys growing up nowadays, they just know nothing but the internet. So they're paying for these OnlyFans because they're lonely. I never had a problem with this. But nowadays, dude, a lot of these guys are growing up without game.
Well, it's like that's the same reason why a lot of guys would go to get prostitutes though back in the days. You know what I mean? Before all this stuff came out, right? You know, prostitutes was that access. You know, that's what guys would go to. They didn't have the game to talk to a girl and build a relationship with somebody, so they would go look on, to go to the high streets on the corners and holler at the prostitutes, man, and bag them. And that was the way to fulfill that desire. And you gotta understand, like, even with the prostitutes, like, they wasn't just like, okay, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Some of these prostitutes like would be regulars with some of these guys who didn't know how to talk to women,
Yeah.
and they would actually chill and talk to these
Yeah.
guys and kind of be like a girlfriend for the little time. You know, that's why they call them escorts, I guess, too. You know, you have the escort services, you know, where they would actually
Yeah.
hang
Can
out
we
and
mention even more?
make the guys feel good, you know, and so but obviously, you know, there's a lot of stigma to that, and guys don't want to be caught out there, and so OnlyFans kind of provides a more easier way to facilitate that need without being out there and getting arrested or getting caught in public or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this stuff is it just leads to demonic possession, bro. Sexual sin, you know, it leads to demonic possession. Demons enter into people through sexual
Yeah.
acts, through traumatic situations, or through sex, bro. This is why the occult, you know, they do sex acts, sex rituals, and they do, you know, human sacrifices, and they shed blood. It's all has to do with trauma and sex. These are the main
All Satanism.
sources. Yeah, so the main sources of how spirits get through. And so the increase in sexuality, sexual promiscuity, it increases the transfer of demon spirits to control people's lives, bro, and lock them into hell, bro. Lock their destiny, bro.
I,
You know
I,
what I mean?
100%.
Hold on, Hassan. Just to
Yeah.
answer Jake's point, I have to disagree a little bit because I don't think it's because these guys don't necessarily have game. The reason why they are, you know, going for OnlyFans, I think they have become more sexually depraved. I think it's to do with the depravity.
Yeah.
I think sex is so highly accessible these days. I mean, you can't compare it to any time in history when sex was this accessible. And of course, they can always
To
scratch
women,
that.
though, Octavio, to women, it's Savio. To women, they have access because of social media. Men still aren't getting laid as much as
No,
they did back then in the day where they actually had to work for it, Octavio.
and that's the problem because men are looking to get laid. That's what's that.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's like this. A woman understands that he wants sex, so she wants money
Yeah.
and attention from him. He wants sex, so what she does is she sells her body. Okay, it's an exchange. She sells
Her
her body.
purity.
because he's
Purity.
willing-
She sells
yeah,
purity.
no. She sells it. Okay, none of these girls are pure, and none of these
Of
girls
course. Of course.
they can sell it. But
Yes.
but what I'm
Yeah.
basically saying is, it's like porn's been around for porn sites and all of that. It's been around for a while now. All right, I think people have become just like corn is becoming more depraved. If you look at the type of corn that's coming out now, it's actually more depraved than ever before. It's becoming more immoral, more, you know, more evil, put it that way. The type of stuff that's being promoted in corn. I think the idea of lusting over your neighbor or someone that looks normal, someone that doesn't look like an actor. I think that was the
Yes.
that was the
Men
real
are
that was the real reason. That was the real reason why OnlyFans actually blew up. And I think these men, because we live in
yes,
such a
exactly.
hold on. I think because we live in such a highly sexualized society, men pay for sex. Men don't mind paying for sex these days. I mean, look at men fund the entire sex industry. So these men, it's not as if these guys are sitting at home thinking to themselves, you know what, I need game. They can just pay for it. They pay for it anyway. They can just pay for it. It's not as if I think it's because they just want something a bit more depraved. That's what they want. They tired, they bored of the same old, you know, sex sites. They want something more depraved, and that's why corn is becoming.
I'd like to add. just
But
one part.
Octavio, you have to real. Oh, go on.
Do you
Hassan.
mind, Jake, if I just add this part? When you come from a religious perspective, and you go down this path, you feel bad in the beginning, I'd say, and then you feel good for leaving. But if you don't have a religious framework, you feel good going in, and then you feel bad, but you can't leave anyway. So yeah, that's why I wanted that.
Mhm. Yeah. But I would disagree with Octavio when he says like, yeah, a lot of men are, as if they had game prior before that. Like game is something that you need to learn. Another word for game is just the psychosis of like being charming. I know a lot of men that cannot get women, not because they're not attractive, but because they literally don't know how to talk to women, bro. So a lot of these dudes nowadays with the like easy access to women on Corn and OnlyFans, etc., and the video games, they're playing video games. Like, dude, they're so lazy. They don't want to put in the work. They don't know how to talk to they don't know how to go up to a woman at a bar and talk to them. So I don't think it's because like from what you mentioned earlier, like this is how it was. They're just being lazy. It's just that they don't know. In today's society has told men that you shouldn't be so masculine, that women don't find masculine men attractive. So a lot of these dudes are like dumbing down their masculinity. They're becoming beta males, Octavio. So a lot of them will turn to video games, pornography, and with today's society with social media, a lot of these women are picking the higher value dudes rather than settling for these beta males that they can have all to themselves.
Jake,
and I think this is a trickling effect of that.
Sorry, what's the purpose of having game? Elijah, I want you to help me out on this one. What's the purpose of having game?
So
what's the end goal?
That's a great question.
So
here's the thing. There's many goals to have game. Game is just that you can use game for your marriage. Okay? Because your wife, you can't stop courting your wife. Once you marry her, doesn't mean, okay, I have her. Doesn't mean you have to stop playing game on her. Game is meaning to where you know the psychosis of a woman, that you keep wowing her to keep her around. Now, some men use that just for one night stands. Some men use it just for relationships, short-term relationships. Some men use it for long-term relationships. Other men use it for actual marriages. So game is just another word for knowing the woman's psychosis. In other words, the red pill.
I just want to say, bro, like with game, when it comes to game, when it comes to game, some guys, it's just in their makeup, bro. Like they got game, they had game since they was a kid. They go, they get married, and they still got game, bro. Some people, they develop the game. They learn the game. They learn the finesse. They learn how to talk to women and all that, for its purpose. And some people they just don't have it, man. It's like athletes. You got certain basketball players, they just got it, bro, from childhood. You know what I mean? And then you got certain players, they can learn how to be the best. And then you got some players, they try to learn, they can never do it. They just can't. And I think it's just
okay. What's the purpose of?
I might be with Octavio here. We're gonna stick to no game gang, yeah. No game gang.
No. What's the purpose of game? What's the purpose? Generally speaking, what's the purpose of having game? What's the purpose?
I would assume from Octavio's point of view, his whole purpose of game is to learn how to get a woman and to keep that woman for a lifetime. Am I in the ballpark, Octavio?
Nope. The purpose of game is to be promiscuous. Is to sleep with women. The reason when we speak of hold on.
Not true.
When we speak of a man having game, generally speaking, when we're talking about men having game, listen, I know what having game is all about. All right. Just, I'm one of those guys. But what I'm saying,
Octavio, were you a slut maker back in the day?
Yes, I was. But what I'm saying is the real reason why most men, listen, speak to any guy who knows women, who knows how to speak to women, who knows how to get women in bed. All right. The real reason why they use it is to sleep with women. So basically what I'm trying to say is it all leads towards the same thing. Whether the guy is watching it, lusting it from across the screen, or he's actually engaging in sexual activity, the end product is the same. They're both engaging in lust, and they both they're both having sex outside marriage. So the end goal is the same. They both lusting, they both having sex. Is to have sex. That's it. That's all. So having
I
gain doesn't
disagree.
anything.
Well, you said the end goal is to have sex. Women are the gatekeepers of sex, Octavio. Women don't necessarily want to just have sex like all the time and just be reckless with it. Women want relationships. They want the
Some
ring,
women do,
Octavio.
bro. Some
So
women do, man. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Look, I'm down
most
here.
women down inside want that.
I'm down here in Orlando, man. I mean, look, I'm married. I never step outside on
Mhm.
marriage, but I know enough about a lot of Latino women, a lot of Puerto Ricans in particular. You know, they are very active, bro. They're extremely active the way they are. So, you know, and a lot of them types can be the type that all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't just say
Sure.
it's only men that just like that. You know, women is like that too, bro. It's just the way they different
But I'm
from
saying,
us. You know, their approach is different
sure,
from us.
yeah, but I think women at the end of the day, their main goal is to lock down a guy. To where us guys, we
Nah,
want to just have
some
sex
women,
with
bro.
as many women.
Look, I can't tell you how
Bro,
many. Like, I mess
look
with a
at
lot of women. I
statistics.
can't tell you how many women I've dealt with, bro, in the past who did, and that was the last thing on their mind. And when I started to try to push towards, okay, let's just deal with each other exclusively, they like, nah, and they push away because they don't want that. There's too many. There's a lot of African
They
American
do.
women,
They do.
particularly,
Deep down
they
inside,
are
they
not
do.
looking for no relationship, bro. You know what I mean? They're not looking to lock
Elijah,
up.
can I bring up a biblical argument?
Hmm.
Can I bring up a biblical argument for that?
Okay.
I know you guys might call me crazy, but you're Christian. Elijah, are you Christian?
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Okay, Octavio, I know you are. So in Genesis, if you guys don't, I know, if you guys don't remember in Genesis, Eve had Adam bite the apple, right? She got finessed by Satan. During that time, God gave a punishment for both genders. The gender Eve, specifically for women, God said to Eve, "You will now amplify your birth. When you give birth, it's going to have more pain." He also said, "From now on, you will yearn for the husband. You will have a yearning for the husband." What God meant by that, and if you look at Adam's punishment, which I won't get into that, but let's just focus on Eve here. God sentenced her saying that you will yearn for the husband now. So looking at women nowadays, even feminists, look at the fucking craziest feminists that you can look at. They still yearn for a boyfriend and a husband. Even though they say they won't, they'll say all these crazy shit, but their actions speak otherwise. Their actions speak otherwise. They can't understand that because they're manipulated by the serpent, just like Eve was in the Garden of Eden in Genesis. Okay, these women yearn for the husband. They deep down inside want a relationship, but they reject it because Satan's their daddy at the end of the day. So if you look at it, even look at statistical wise, women at the age of 40 years old that make a lot of money, they're single, etc., just like men, they're the most depressed people. If you look at women, 1 out of every 3 women are on some type of antidepressant pills. This is literally God's punishment for women that yearn for the husband. When they reject it, like feminists tell women to do, they suffer. Did you know
Yeah.
that?
Elijah,
I mean,
you
I was gonna say, like, I think, yeah, it's a natural trajectory for women to desire a husband at the end of the day, just like it's a natural trajectory for men to desire a wife. But not everybody falls under that natural trajectory. There are things, there's traumas, there's experiences, and there's even genetic predispositions that can take people off that natural course. So yeah, like you said, a lot of feminist women are, a lot of them are, to be honest with you, a lot of them are lettuce, ground beef, tomato quesadillas, and they fall off like from that natural trajectory, bro. Like they have no desire for a husband in their mind and their makeup at all, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Deep down inside, they're suffering. They're
Jake,
suffering. Women. Those women are
Jake,
suffering.
Jake, I agree
Yo,
with you
what's up?
that woman has a natural yearning for a
For the
husband,
man.
for the men. Yeah, but what you're not taking into account is the corruption of sin, and what and how far that has led women astray from that natural yearning. For example, if you compare a virgin religious woman who's faithful to her religion, and you compare her to a modern feminist, hardcore,
There's
over
no
sexualized
comparison.
woman, you're going to see that the yearning differs. One of them has
Peace.
the yearning that the religious woman has a true yearning for a husband, for a man. She doesn't even want just a man, she wants a husband. When you look at
Yeah.
when you look at the yearning that the modern feminist will have, it will actually it will be less, it will be less of a yearning. Of course, in the end they end up regretting it
And
because
that's
of
why
the
that's why they're more depressed, Octavio, because they deny
absolutely.
the nature of God.
I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Look at the statistics. I'm not lying here.
They are going to be punished on earth and also punished afterwards. That's absolutely fine. I completely understand that. But the yearning does differ depending on on the corruption, on the
Sure.
sinful corruption. And
Sure, of course.
and one of the biggest sinful corruptions
And I'm not
that
arguing that.
yeah, and one of the biggest sinful corruptions that men and women are going through right now is called lust. And this is what corn sites provide, and so on and so forth. And that's what's leading a lot of men and women astray. Yeah, that's one point.
Mostly men.
Yeah,
Mostly men.
yeah. I think yeah. I think at the end of the day, like the whole purpose of corn is to lead people into sexual promiscuity that opens up the door for spiritual bondage, for demonic possession, man. Demonic possession and oppression. One, it's a lock onto people that keeps people from turning toward God or having even any reasoning to turn to God, man, to escape to escape the destruction, man. Like, bro, demonic possession is so prevalent now. There's so many people like actually like literally possessed by demons, bro. I mean, I don't know if you, Jake, or if you believe in God or believe in the spiritual realm, but this is just a reality in a world that's inescapable, bro. People can try to like despiritualize reality and just try to look at us as physical beings and physical anatomy and science and all of that. But bro, this is a very, very spiritual world. And there's a lot of things that go on spiritually that science cannot explain that are very much consistent realities that we deal with. And demonic possession is one of them, bro. Demons. There's a spiritual realm, there's a higher essence of reality that very much involves us as human beings, that science can't explain, and the Bible explains, but people want to try to put off the Bible as if as just a religion.
Jake, you know about mental health. Hassan, you've heard about mental health. Elijah, you've heard about mental health. I was actually surprised that apparently one of the questions that they need to ask, but I do want to go back to Jake's points as well in regards, because Jake is bringing up a lot of red pill points, and Elijah.
Can I go to the
it goes
bathroom real quick?
it
I'm
goes
sorry.
into, no, it's fine. I love it.
Yeah.
KD actually wanted to ask you as well a question in regards to the red pill, Elijah. But yeah, just to add to what Elijah is saying, Elijah, did you know that when you go for a mental health assessment, apparently one of the questions that are asked of you, and I found that very strange because that is not a scientific question. That should not be asked. Do you hear voices? I found that very strange. I was like, what do you mean? Do I hear voices?
Yeah.
Voices. And I was just like,
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah. How does one explain that scientifically? I was like, what do you mean? Do I hear voices? I shouldn't be. Why should I be here? Why is that question being asked by a psychiatrist? What's the purpose? How is that related to my biology? If I hear
But
voices,
have you ever looked up any have you ever looked up any like psychological analysis on why people hear voices? You know, or you know, scientific analysis on why people hear voices, because ultimately, if they explain it scientifically, then they're trying to take the spiritual aspect out of it.
of
So there
course,
must be just like they try to they say sleep paralysis. They try to make it a scientific thing. Oh, it's just sleep paralysis. It's something that happens when XYZ, and they try to take the whole spiritual aspect out of that event. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they try to do that with hearing voices, which, you know, and they try to justify it in a scientific way and take the spiritual aspect out of it when they ask you, or are you hearing voices?
yeah, yeah.
That's an interesting point, man.
I,
I
I,
want,
I
yeah.
absolutely agree with you, but and you're absolutely right. That's exactly what they try to do. Yeah, go ahead, Jake. Go ahead, Jake and Hassan. Um, but
Yes.
yeah, Jake, I do
Yeah,
not agree with
let
you.
me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll
I
let you guys.
actually want to yield my time to Hassan because I haven't heard him talk.
I appreciate that. But I've been
Thoughts,
listening.
Hassan?
You guys haven't mentioned anything. I wouldn't. We. I can assume we have a variety of views on a variety of issues, but we've all pretty much come together on this one, that it is detrimental to the mind, the body, the spirit, the soul, detrimental to you today and tomorrow. It isolates the person, humiliates the person, weakens the person. So it's a poison. And who would have thought what a man desires the most, having almost unlimited access to it, destroys him? um I wouldn't have come to that conclusion, but
Satanists would have.
yeah, I must be in the wrong club. Enjoy their podcast, you know, learn what they're up to. But yeah, so yeah, for me, the corn industries, I've always been, you know, I've always been aware of it, and how poisonous it is, and how it can. And a good point that Elijah has made, that once you indulge in it, or once a person indulges in it, it makes them sexualize the opposite gender, rather than realizing the personality traits, how they can benefit you in this life, and how much of a partner they are, rather than a thing. Which is a good point. But I get that, but to this day I'm still shocked, and I can't overcome the this wildfire, which is OnlyFans. People spending time and money and effort just to have access, exclusive access for $4.99 a month, whatever it is. I don't know their pricing. I'm assuming.
Hassan, have you been looking at the prices of these OnlyFans girls?
I've been looking at their income.
I'm just
though.
kidding, bro.
They're very,
99.
they're up there with
For
NBA,
sure.
you know, they're very wealthy.
Yeah.
Which is how we're complaining about money going abroad, taxpayer money being wasted on building Ukraine and supporting Israel, but we can't keep our hands in our pockets when it comes to giving money over to low life and degenerates that expose certain where we have no responsibility of our own actions, but we blame others for their actions. So that's the point. But yeah, to this day, I still can't get over that phenomenon.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, okay, so great points on that. So Octavio, you had mentioned that I was bringing up red pill talking points here. Can you explain that to me? Because I don't think I am.
No, when we were talking about game, right? And the purpose of game, of having game, which generally speaking, do you disagree that generally speaking, having game is to, I don't look, I have a wife. I don't need game. In fact, I'm against game because we both understand our roles. We both believe, we both
Octavio,
have the same.
Octavio, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, can you define what game is?
What game is?
Define
How
it
does
for
one-
me so that
how
way
does
I
one
know
define
what your definition is.
How does one define something that comes natural? Game is the ability
It's
of
very easy to define.
no. It's the ability of talking to women. It's the ability of interacting with women.
Okay.
And this ability is usually used for the purposes of sleeping with women.
But at the end of the day, the ability to, what'd you say? Talk to women,
To interact with women.
entertain, interact with women. If you lose game and you're married,
I've lost the game.
your wife is not going to like you anymore if you can't interact and entertain and
She hasn't
go
got
adjusting to her.
She hasn't got a choice, Jake. She's a Christian.
The-
We value duty
Okay,
over our feelings.
sure, yes, 100%. I completely agree with you on there, Octavio. But let's talk to the average man. Okay, I don't think game is a bad thing. You're prescribing game as a place to where it's like it's only just to bang women. It's not true. Okay, game teaches a lot. If you learn how women interact in the sexual marketplace, if you learn how women what women are attracted to, what men are attracted to, etc. Game, you could use it, and game is just a fancy, it's just a slang term for breaking down psychology. All game is psychology. You can use game to bang women, which most men do, which fine, that's fine. Or you could use game to actually have short-term relationships or long-term relationships, or you could use game to satisfy your marriage on a long-term aspect. And I think even as a Christian, game is just a slang. In other words, you need to know the psychosis of the woman that you're with in order to have a productive, long, good relationship with said woman. And Octavio is disagreeing with me, but yeah.
No, let me say something. So I agree with you, Jake, man, to a degree. So it's like game is not just for finessing women and trying to get in the panties or whatever.
Yeah.
You can have game. Like as a salesman, for example, a salesman has game. A good salesman, they got game. You see what I'm saying? You're going for a job interview. A person, if you do real well at the job interview and you got to me, game is just a gift of gab. That's just another word for game.
Yeah.
You got the gift of gab.
But you can learn it, correct, Elijah?
Yeah, you can learn it.
It's possible to learn game.
A lot of Nigerians got game, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They got the gift of gab, bro.
Elijah, looking at the Western world that we currently live in right now, seeing how sexualized it is. All right. Please tell me what most men use game for.
Great question.
Well,
most men don't have game in the first place, though.
Yeah, a lot of men, they try to learn game to because it takes
what do they learn? What do they learn game for, and what do they use the game for?
Men learn, people, not just men, but people learn game to get what they want. It ain't just necessarily for women and for sex, but I can learn. If I'm a salesman, I'm gonna learn game, in the sales thing to get money. If I got a business, I'm gonna learn game to get customers. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just game.
Like, generally speaking, when it comes to men and women, okay, the men of today, the modern men of today, okay, they are not religious. When it comes to interacting with women, what do men, generally speaking, use game for today?
Well, yeah, that's it's obvious to get women, but I'll say you can't single out game to just be that. That's all I'm saying.
I never did.
Yeah.
What I said was, I said generally speaking,
it's either game or money, bro. One or the other. For guys who know they don't have no game, they're gonna chase the money because they don't have game. So they're gonna
what we're talking about is intersexual dynamics between men and women. So when it comes to intersexual dynamics between men and women, when it comes to men interacting with women, dating and so on, most men today, they're not getting married to these women. They're not. What most men, generally speaking, are using game for, they're using it to sleep. They're using it to sleep with women. They're using it for lustful reasons.
Which is a small percentage of men.
Yeah, not all men able to do that though.
It's a small percentage of men that can do that. Yeah, it's a small percentage, Octavio.
I'm
Yeah,
not
In
this is
general,
why
if you want to talk
you
about
got
in
things
general,
like
most
prostitution and OnlyFans and all that, because not all men got game. They can't just go up and talk to women like they would
yes,
like to. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
yes,
there's different
that,
avenues. Like some guys, their solution for not having game is OnlyFans, is prostitution. Some guys' solution for not having game is just getting more money. And you know what I'm saying? Because the money becomes the game.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly. And thank you for saying that. And most men either either don't have game or they naturally have game, and others are trying to learn game so that they don't so that they don't have to pay for it, all right, or watch it online. But the thing is, it all leads towards the same thing. It all leads towards sleeping with women. It all leads towards promiscuity. It all leads towards the culture that we currently have that's producing all the problems that we currently have in society, which is sleeping with women outside of marriage. It all leads to that.
What Octavio is suggesting is it doesn't inherently have a neutral. It's not
a moral aspect.
Yeah, because if you encourage people to do martial arts, the more they do martial arts, the less likely they are to interact or become violent, because they know the consequences of violence. They know how to manage, how to avoid it. The more you give somebody game, do they necessarily become less promiscuous? Can they be trusted with such a tool?
I don't think everybody that has game is promiscuous. Some guys got good game to find a wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It can be used for different things. Like, oh, hold on one second, I gotta use the bathroom, y'all. One second.
No worries, bro. And I never disagreed with that. And I never disagreed with that. You can use game for many reasons. But all I was saying is that when I look at most men, when they learn game or they use game, they're using it for one reason only.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to disagree with you on that, Octavio. But Hassan, go on.
Yeah, sorry, that guy that Octavio and I we were talking about him on the podcast. He spent, I think, 65 grand on a OnlyFans girl or something, whatever her name was.
Oh,
yeah, I think you know of this.
Rosa, the porn star. Yeah, Rose.
Yeah,
Rosa Parks. Yeah.
Rose.
No, not
Rosa Parks, bro. Yeah. It was fucking Rosa Parks. She was doing corn in the back of the bus. Yeah, Rosa Parks.
Rosie something, whatever, right?
Yeah.
If he had
fake story anyway.
If he had game, would he be better off? I think not, to be honest with you, because the ultimate
that guy's a crypto millionaire.
Yeah. Unfortunately, well,
that guy's a crypto millionaire.
Crypto well, yeah, that's it. Guys like him, if they had the ability to seduce women without using money, well, not even seduce. If they're able to get close,
he still can't do that, even with his money, because he has no game.
Fortunately, but if he had game, a part of me thinks that he would make society worse. Game isn't inherently neutral because human beings aren't inherently neutral. That's
I mean, I think regardless of his crypto money or not, he's still making influence worse in general. Being a simp, regardless if you're a rich guy or a poor guy, being a simp is unacceptable. To be paying money for Rosa Parks, your words, or that porn star or whatever, bro. At the end of the day, this is pathetic. This is why men need game in order to use that. And I know Octavio is saying it leads only to sex, but men that have zero game are depressed. They're the ones committing, they're deleting themselves. Men that get married and they get effed over by the system. It leads to a lot of troubles here that we need to teach men how to navigate the sexual market. That's my point.
That's why I disagree with you. I might agree with Octavio on this. If it's their desires and their goals and their moral standing that leads them down this path. If they were satisfied with the idea of marrying the girl next door rather than paying for her OnlyFans or focusing on knowing what a good
that's
woman
all
is.
illusion, though.
Sorry.
That's all an illusion, though. With OnlyFans, it's the girl next door. That's what they deeply want, but it's an illusion. They're paying for an illusion.
No, but if they were to focus their efforts on, if they had a good moral compass, a woman isn't a thing, but she's a wife, she's a mother, and I'm a husband and I'm a father, and that's my objective, and that's what I should go towards. Would they waste their time with developing skills to acquire women? Or if they can't, focusing on purchasing their time, they wouldn't. I think it begins with a moral purpose, and then you go from there. Having the tools, because you give a chef a knife, he will cook a good meal. You give a mechanic a knife, he won't cook a good meal. He'll go neglected, and it will become blunt, and it will become useless. It's the moral foundation, the program these people have. That's why when somebody like Octavio is focusing on promoting Christian values, or someone like myself would be more on the Muslim side, that is better than any game, any skills that they can develop, because it's not about getting the woman, it's what you do when you get the woman. And if your moral compass is I've got the girl and blah 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 and whatever, when you really should be focusing on building a family, fulfilling your duties as a man, understanding that if you're really not much if you're not a husband and a father.
And Hassan, you do realize I don't disagree with you on that. You're making a strong man. You're saying that, because of game, you're neglecting the religious points of views. I agree with the religious points of views. I'm not disputing any of that. When Octavio wants to talk about those things, I completely agree with him on that. There's no pushback on that. But at the end of the day, when I'm talking about, when it comes to the psychological aspect of getting to that level of being a leader and leading your wife and having game to lead wives and children, etc. Game, again, is only being aware of circumstances and how to navigate said psychology and circumstances and people that are around you. It's being a leader. That's all it is. It's psychosis. Now, some people use it for evil, others use it for good. My point is, when you are talking about religion, I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that stuff. So when you want to bring it up, I have no argument, because I can agree with you on that.
It's just having social skills, man. That's it, bro. I'm just like, I've always understood game to be that way, and like to get women, it takes social skills. You know what I mean? Like to get like a good job, it takes social skills. You know, to make sales as a salesman, it takes social skills. It's the gift of gab, social skills, or game. I think these terminologies are interchangeable. You know what I mean? I don't think it's just, obviously it's used oftentimes to get women, but it ain't just solely that. You know what I mean? And so I mean, I feel Jake on that, but you know, obviously it can be used in a positive light and it can be used in a negative light. You know.
And that's a good point. So they are essentially different terms for social skills. It's just maybe Octavio's focusing on the more important point is, what are you going to do with these social? You haven't established your moral. I assume, I'm not speaking for Octavio, but I assume he means that build a moral foundation first and then develop the social skills. But if you focus on the social skills, you'll have a means to an end. But what will you do when you get to that end is the question.
What I'm saying is, when I look at society today, these game. What game is being used for, given when I look at how sexualized society is, when I look at everything that me and Elijah have been talking about, the impact of the hookup culture on society, and the consequences that it has brought to society. When I look at how sexualized men and women are today, most people are using game for sexual access. That's what they're using game for. I agree with Elijah 110%, and with Jake. Game does not stop at just speaking to women and so on. Game can be anything. You know, it's just the gift of the gab. You know, and you can use game for many things. But the point I'm trying to use is, when we are talking about dating and intersection dynamics between men and women, what men of today, the modern men, as I like to call them, I like to differentiate them from the men that don't follow their belief systems. When it comes to modern men, the reason why they use game, or they are trying to learn game, is for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to seduce women so that they can sleep with women. It's not to establish meaningful relationships. It's not to establish it's not mostly, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it's not mostly to establish meaningful relationships that will lead to marriage and lead to family creation and lead to legacies and so on. It's not to establish any of that. What it is to have sexual access. Jake even went as far as saying that some of these guys, because they are not getting enough sex outside marriage, enough lust, because they're not getting their lustful desires met by promiscuous women, apparently they are offing themselves. Can you believe it? They are offing themselves because they can't satisfy their lustful desires. The same lustful desires, by the way, that's destroying the Western world that we currently have today, because there is no family creation, the birth rate has declined, and everything is going to
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick on that. I didn't say that because they can't get laid, they're offing themselves. I'm saying that when they start relationships with women that they didn't necessarily vent very well, a lot of these women will break their hearts, and they believe themselves to be depressed because a woman broke their hearts because they didn't have actual game. And men that get married, they get divorced, they're heartbroken by women as well. Those are the men that are actually committing, offing themselves because they can't see their children. They married a woman that wasn't necessarily vented correctly. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of men actually have that. And then when they lose their jobs, etc., like, of course, you guys already know about that. That was my point. Anyways, whoever wants to speak next.
Yeah, Elijah, go ahead.
Oh no, I just, I know you're trying to keep it on a point, man, with the whole sexual promiscuity, man, and the effects of it. I see you keep trying to reel it back in, but
I'm literally just working out the consequences of it all. I'm literally, and because it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. It is all interconnected. I have nothing against 100%. Game. I no longer need game because I'm married. We just follow rules and regulations. It's that simple. She's obedient. I obey my role. She obeys her role. There is no game. There's nothing. That's it. That's the good thing about being a Christian. We understand our purpose. But for those modern people that live by secular ideologies, I can understand why their relationships are breaking down, and it's exhausting. I can imagine how exhausting it is for a man having to have game with a woman he's known for 10 years. He still needs to have game with her. That's exhausting.
That's the thing. I don't think it's exhausting. I think it's just natural.
Yeah, for some people,
I really don't think it's exhausting. It's a natural thing.
Yeah, like I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like I ain't gonna say I got game. I ain't gonna brag about it, nothing like that. But bro, I got gal, man. Like I still finesse my wife as far as like, I talk and joke with it, and you know what I'm saying. But it's natural. It ain't like a task. It ain't like, oh man, what I'm gonna say today, or how I'm gonna figure out what to say to it. It ain't like when I was out there single in the world, and some girls I really would have to sit up there and try to plan out how I was gonna finesse them. I had to think about. I was conscious of what I'm gonna say and how I'm gonna say it. And, my mind was there. But it's like with my wife, it ain't never been like that. It's always just kind of been natural, a natural finesse that ain't never stopped.
Yeah.
Now that we married, I still finesse my wife, man. I still, speak sweet nothings to her, like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't.
So,
I think maybe the term has negative. The term game has negative connotations, because then if you're in the, then you're basically a player, and a player is another
game, right. So I just say gift of gab, man. That's better. That's better to say. I really love Nigeria. I feel like, man, not to single on Nigeria. I know I mentioned, but I feel like Nigerians, bro, they got a gift of gab, bro. Them dudes got game, man. They just know how to talk, bro.
Famous.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
I don't have no gift of the gab. I usually I speak directly. I give orders. The orders are obeyed. And I seriously, I don't even have a facial expression. Seriously, I don't change my tone of voice. It's usually here's the orders, and the orders are obeyed, and that's it. I mean, that's as far as if you want to call that game. I don't call it game. I call it giving orders. But that's about it, really. I don't think much
Octavio,
about it.
Octavio, that is game to an extent. That's game because all you're doing is just being a fucking leader, bro. That's what a man does. That's the whole point of having game. It's just to know the female nature and to be a fucking man. Now, you're telling me that when you talk to your woman, she doesn't, you're the leader, she respects that, she submits, etc. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's her duty.
Octavio?
Yeah, that's her duty.
Does she have a sister? Because I need a woman in my life like that at this point, especially here in the West. Because, dude, these women are insane. Does she have a sister? Shoot her my way.
She's got a few, yes. Unfortunately, they were married.
Okay, good.
But yeah, no, seriously,
Tell her I'm American.
Actually, my way. But the thing is, seriously, it's really that simple. It's really that simple. I don't.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because when I think of game, I think of something that I know what you guys are saying. Like, I'll be honest with you, bro. Please tell me if I'm wrong on this one. But wasn't it a little bit exhausting back in the days? I know Jake is not married. Hassan is not married. But me and Elijah are married. Wasn't it exhausting, Elijah, back in the days? Like, listen, we could have even enjoyed it, but eventually, when you've got like 10 at once, it was exhausting.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Sometimes I look at I think about single people. I see them out, going to the club or whatever, and I'm just like, man, I do not miss being single, man. Cause it is stressful, bro. Like, you're trying to meet a new chick, and then you're dealing with a new chick, and all of a sudden things ain't going right. You had expectations, things are looking good, and all of a sudden things are going backwards or not going the way you wanted. And I just got tired of dealing with that kind of stress, man. It just woman after woman, and now I'm single again. Now I'm back on the hunt. Now I'm back on the hunt, you know what I mean? I'm just hoping and wishing, and maybe I'll bag some today, maybe I'll bag some tomorrow. Then whatever bag, if it's nice, it's cool, having a good time. First date is sweet, and then next thing you know, we get into a little argument. Now things are going sour, and everything I expected and how things were looking, it ain't looking like that no more. Now back to square one, back on the hunt. To me, that's just stressful, bro. I don't miss that.
It's not worth it, Jake. It's not worth it, Jake. It's just not worth it.
I think Jake agrees.
Well, it's crazy. Well, here's the thing. It's crazy to me because as a single guy, I don't really think about that. I don't think about the stress. It just comes natural. I just talk to a girl. If she doesn't like me, move on. If this girl does, cool. Like, I don't stress on that. I'm not there to like wow her or try to get a girlfriend. Like, I don't approach women in a sense where it's like I want to get a girlfriend or a wife. It's just if it comes natural, if God allows it, then yeah, that I mean that's just the way it is. But I don't stress on that. I don't
Jake,
feel like it's something that.
Were you a hunter?
What's up?
Were you, sorry to interrupt, Jake? Were you a hunter? Because there are certain guys that the more women they sleep with, the more they think they've achieved a certain goal. I don't think you when me and Elijah are talking about it's exhausting, it usually has to do with guys that are purposefully trying to sleep with as many women as possible. So they might have three on the go, but you know what, they just saw a next one that they really like, or another one, and they're trying to get as many as possible. And to them, it's almost like a game. It's almost like, you know what, the more I sleep with, the better. That's what I mean by exhausting, because it's not necessarily getting them, what it is it's
Yeah.
you have to talk to them, you have to make a little time for them, you have to take them out, and then you've got all of these other chicks on the line. They also want attention. They also want some time. You know, that's when it gets exhausting.
Yeah, it's called spinning plates. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, spinning plates. Yeah. No, you're right, Octavio. No, spinning plates, that's definitely exhausting, 100%. I did honestly, like during that time when I was more active playing guitar, playing shows around here, there were more of like girls that just liked me. They came around, they came back here and there. So again, even when I was spinning plates, did I date 2 girls at a time? 2, that's the max. I didn't date 3 or 5 or 7 or whatever. Yeah, sure. Okay. But at the end of the day, if the girl didn't like it or whatever, she was free to leave. It wasn't anything that it was exhausting. Yes, you're right. Yes, the whole sex thing. You know what? I understand here. I'll conceive on that. Yes, it's exhausting. There, fine. Okay. Yes, it's exhausting. All right. Good.
Guys,
Go. Boom. All right. Good job. Good job, Octavio. You got me there. But
Hold on,
my
hold on.
point is,
Yeah.
go for it.
No. I just wanted to say quickly. We're gonna go on for another 20 minutes, guys, and then I'm gonna end the stream. Okay. But yeah, go ahead. Got 20 more minutes. Let's go, bro. Go ahead, Jake.
No, yeah. So I understand your point, Octavio. Like, of course, it's exhausting if you're spinning plates. I understand that. But at the end of the day, when it came to relationships, like actually getting a girl that I liked, enjoyed, etc., a lot of those girls came naturally, and a lot of them, they were good chicks and they were nice women, and I have nothing bad to say about them. Till this day, a lot of my ex-girlfriends still, I'm not gonna say like me, but they don't hate me. They'll still tell me good things, etc. I don't communicate with them. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like it ended on hatred or anything like that. So again, it came natural with a lot of these females. But yeah, I mean, that's just how I thought of it. It's not something that stressed me out because I'm not focused on women. I'm just more focused on just developing my life, like here on YouTube. The whole reason of developing myself with my house, my career, things that I'm doing, like YouTube, bro, that even the only reason that I focus on myself, why I'm on here talking right now to you, Octavio, is because I focused on myself. If I would have focused on women, I probably wouldn't be here right now talking to you. I probably wouldn't, Octavio. So, so at the end of the day, yeah, it never felt stressed to me.
And this is why the pursuit of trying to sleep with 50 women, which is Myron's advice, so that you can understand female nature, is wrong, because what you're doing is the right thing. You are building yourself up as a man so that you one day can take care of a family in the future. I hope that's what you're trying to do. And usually
100%, bro.
And if you look at the practicality of that involves working hard. That involves, so you can't be chasing women full time and also working hard full time and think that you're going to get the same results. It's literally impossible. You have to choose one over the other. And
I'll say most of the time when guys are working hard for a time, they usually probably making some pretty decent money where they don't have to chase women, and women are kind of chasing them because they got money. You know what I'm saying? So usually I see a dynamic where if a guy's fully chasing women, he ain't really making money like that. But if a guy's fully working hard, then yeah, the women, and he do have that women dynamic, it's more than likely they're gonna be chasing him.
So I'm laughing, but it's so true. It is true. When a man has a lot of time on his hands, that when he's not making money, that's when those are the guys that are usually chasing women hard. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Octavio.
And what's crazy? It's like guys can't help but chase women in a sense, because this is what's promoted to us to do. This is the influence in the media and the music and you know, no, in a culture that we live in is pushed to the guys chase the women, guys chase the women, but in actuality is backwards. And I think that also leads to a lot of problems between men and women is because if guys are chasing women, it's backwards because women are supposed to be following men and naturally, in the natural order of things, men are the leaders and women follow suit. And so if we're in a culture where we're chasing women, then yeah, you might kick it off at first, but then you get in a point where you're chasing them, they gonna get tired of you. They gonna be like, nah, they don't want no man that's chasing them. They
Is
want to
that
follow. They want a guy who's solid in himself, confident in himself, doing his thing. He got, you know what I mean? He got an attitude like, look, man, you know, I ain't got time. I got stuff to do. That's the women that's the type of women that guys are going after, man. You know what I
and,
mean? And
Yeah.
so, you know, and so when we chasing women, bro, you're not gonna be very successful chasing women, bro. I mean, and if you are successful chasing women, you have stretched your neck to be able to
You're probably
facilitate.
broke.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You stretch far and wide. You've come up with all type of strategies. You need to run a business, bro. You need to put that energy into running a business because the same energy you put in
Yeah.
the bag of women is the same energy that can be put in running a business to get money. But most of the time, when you chase women, bro, you ain't gonna be that successful, man. But you don't chase women. You stay solid in yourself. You show them that you're confident and you don't need them because you're confident who you are and what you're doing, bro. They will follow you, bro. They will follow you to the grave, man. That's just
And I
how
would,
it is.
and
and
I
that,
would argue, and I
like,
would argue, sorry, Hassan, and I would argue, liking pictures of women online, um, Instagram is chasing women. I would argue paying for sex is chasing women.
That's sim
I would
shit.
argue paying for OnlyFans is chasing women. I would argue watching
Yeah.
porn is chasing women. Doing anything that might tempt you to think about women rather than think about your purpose is chasing women.
Elijah made a very good
Yeah.
point. He said the natural order of things that men don't chase women, they chase their purpose, and the women follow afterwards. The shift comes from, I think Octavio keeps mentioning lust. Once you prioritize your lustful desires, you change your focus from your purpose to women. And I think lust is the ultimate factor, and lust is expressed in many different ways through these OnlyFans, these things.
Yeah.
But my question
Mhm.
is, so I look at people who consume corn regularly, and I think, of course, it's a horrible thing, and it's something that I part of me thinks is easy to get out of once you develop some self-discipline and some social interaction. It's a void that can be stepped out of. But when I think of and it may be a mute point, it may not be necessarily a major point, but when I think of OnlyFans, I think that's a pool you can never get out of. I can't imagine it being the same because you get some sort of exclusive. Because it's almost a simulation. Because you watch sci-fi films from the early 2000s, they have holograms, men being inside booths with the
The
3D.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah. They have 3D projections
Mhm.
of a woman, virtual reality. That's it, virtual reality. That was meant to be the future. But I think OnlyFans is another form of virtual reality. It's an interaction with a person somewhere out there, but they're not here, but they're here at the same time in the sense. They're almost, that's what I think is the unfortunate next evolution of this hole to hell, in a sense. It's
Yeah.
the closest to a hologram I can think of, because that person you're interacting with, I assume, because I've never had one of these websites or whatever, is a real person who probably lives just a regular life or whatever, or they're famous or whatever, right? But they'll respond to your chats, they'll respond to your messages. There's some sort of semi, what they call it, parasocial relationship, which further compounds that isolation, that never-ending downward spiral, because it's somewhat closer to reality, but it's still a false reality.
Yeah,
That's
porn
the
facilitated the way for that, man. Porn totally facilitated the way for OnlyFans to be what it is because at the end of the day, OnlyFans it like basically facilitates your imagination. You're not physically involved with the girl like you would be in prostitution or in promiscuity relationship. It's the same effects as watching porn, but it's more personal in a sense. But it's still all your imagination. You know what I'm saying? You're just dealing with a real person now that can better facilitate your imagination instead of you, instead of using that part of your imagination to make the person real. Now you have a real person
Yes.
that's still catering to your imagination. So it's really messed up when you think about it, because you were just strictly, it's all your imagination, bro. Corn is
Yeah.
all your imagination. And y'all, I mean, imagine the different things you can use your imagination for, bro.
Yeah.
Your imagination is spiritual, man.
Yeah, Elijah, I like that you bring up that it's all about imagination. And if you notice these big tech companies, Octavio, we have more time, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
We're good on time. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say, if you look at OnlyFans, it's gotten so popular nowadays. We're jumping into the virtual reality world. If you look at Meta, like Mark Zuckerberg's little where you have the fucking glasses and you're just a loser fucking looking into the space and shit. We're going into the Matrix now. So nowadays they're already testing corn in the metaverse. And these they're already doing it in Japan, by the way. And they have the whole metaverse glasses here. And then they have, demonstrate you, they have like a fuck doll, literally a fuck doll with the glasses there, humping it, simulating while they're watching simulated corn. And this is gonna be the future for these simps, these people that and again, this is all done on purpose, bro. This is all to docile people. This is the new world order. I don't know if Octavio believes in the new world order and how the globalists are going to take over. They're planning to take over that. Okay, good. This is the plan here. If you look at the next generation of what's going to happen with virtual reality, they're already planning the corn, bro. They're already planning it. Again, the thing, they're going to send you physical dolls that vibrate to simulate the vagina, etc. And they're targeting men for that. So they're already prepping young men for this bullshit. This is why I say that you need to have game to avoid the fucking brainwashing that the new world order is already planning to take over. Hassan, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anything to step out of the matrix, I guess that's where the red pill movement comes in, because it's like a bit of cheese to just get these people out of their holes that they're stuck in. It's not the ultimate. That's my problem with it, because it only takes you so far. But I guess it's a skill to stop the endless spiral to a certain extent. You can't have a nation of people, masturbating in the corner while the booths with the thugs come in to take everything.
That's just the reality of it, though, man. It's become like such a big part of our culture that there's a lot of it is unspoken, but majority of men like do this, bro. If you and this is the crazy thing. This habit, there's no solution for it in the world, bro. It's a habit that's so enslaving and so unspoken about, which further enslaves. You see what I'm saying? The fact that you're keeping it secret, it further enslaves you. You see what I'm saying? And it becomes such a big part of however many men's lives that with no solution, bro. So it's more intertwined with the everyday culture of a man in the Western world than you realize, bro. You know what I mean? And the only solution, I mean, personally for me, the only solution for me was supernatural change from God, bro. And when God changed my mind and my heart from it, it demonstrated to me that out of everything that I've tried to do on my own to leave it alone and to turn from the habit, it didn't work. You know what I mean? And it left me feeling in a place where it was just like, dude, I have no hope. You know what I'm saying? But when I really turned to God, according to the instructions of what the Bible says about this issue, and I began to intently apply it to my life through prayer and faith and believing that God is going to change me. And the changes that I started to see in myself, the changes that I started to see in my mind when I would see a woman, or when the temptation comes, that usually I would just fall headlong into, when I began to see God changing me, changing my heart, changing my mind, stopping me in my tracks. And that wasn't something I could do on my own. As many times as I've tried to stop, as many times, as much effort as I put in trying to stop the habit on my own. And so how many more men are in the same situation, but are not turning to God and not turning for the help that's there, through God and through the power of the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? And to me, it's just like, bro, it's hard, bro. It's so enslaving, man. I just know from experience, man.
I think the reason why a lot of men are not turning into it is because they don't realize that there's a spiritual dimension to this problem.
Exactly.
And because they don't realize that there's a spiritual dimension to this problem, that's why they are so enticed. That's why they're so enticed by it, and that's why they don't actually understand the real nature of the problem. So of course they're going to come up with these solutions, these ways of overcoming it, and it does help up to a certain extent. It does help. For example, you put all types of if you don't look at certain sites, put certain safety on your phone and all of that type of stuff in order to stop you from looking at it. Make sure you don't wake up and start going to certain sites at certain times and all of that type of stuff. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what you do, because the problem is not physical per se, it's spiritual. And the more people don't engage, and I see it all the time, most people today don't engage with spirituality today, and that's the reason why they can't overcome it, because they don't think there's a spiritual dimension. They don't think they've been affected spiritually by it. And when you don't think you've been spiritually affected by it, and you think it's just physical, that's when you fall for it, and that's when it becomes a big issue. And that's why it is a big issue today. That's why it is a big problem today, and a lot of men are suffering the consequences of it. Like it or not, corn is huge, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger, and people are only going to be more enslaved by it. That's just a fact. And when you look at porn, it's becoming more and more depraved. I mean, seriously, just look at the type of stuff that now people are watching on in corn sites. It's disgusting. Seriously, disgusting.
Oh, let me bring something up, man. So, from an ex porn watcher, bro, I've been looking at this stuff since I was a kid, right? Before the whole shift and change into the internet, when it was just video cassettes and CDs or whatever, DVDs. Back in the day, before the internet took over, when you look at the names of the companies back then that were the most dominant, bro, they were all satanic, bro. I'm just gonna name off some of them: Diabolic, Evil Angel Productions, Evasive Angel, Devil's Films. These were the names of the porn companies back in the days, bro. Like all of the lead porn companies back in the 90s, and for some reason they don't carry these same type of names no more. But bro, all of the porn companies back then had these types of names, bro.
I think people were more aware of it. Sorry, Jay, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So you're telling me that a lot of these porn companies had demonic name, like with the devil in there, like some kind of religious. It's believable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning that. That sounds very believable. But I'm pretty sure some of them still have that in their names. But like nowadays, we just know like Brazzers, right? Brazzers is kind of like simple to the point.
Yeah.
But you're saying that was the case. You named plenty of them. Like I've never heard of that. I've never heard of those names before, to be honest.
Bro, you can look them up.
Pornhub and that's it.
So you can look them up, bro. These are the names of the companies back in the days. You had Diabolical Films.
Wow.
Evil Angel Productions. Evasive Angel Productions. Devil's Films. Those are like the main ones you would see on a normal basis, bro. But yeah, like it's just they put it right in your face, and I think they did that like because they just knew like what they were doing, bro. At the same time, but now they've taken these names they don't use those same type of names per se. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
maybe not to turn people away from it.
No,
Not that
no,
it was turning people away from it.
Not that it would matter. Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
they were just setting people's conscience, like, you know what I mean, back in the day.
In this country,
Yeah.
back sometime in the UK. I'm calling from the UK. I guess you guys would know. Sometime maybe gambling was illegal at some point, and and then it was made legal. And now you have gambling companies sponsoring every major sporting event you can think of all the time. You can't even watch a YouTube video about a sporting event without having a gambling company sponsoring it. How long do you think it will be until these companies, because as you said, Devil Productions or whatever, Satanist, websites, to being more mainstream? And obviously that's a branding thing. They've done that intentionally because they're now becoming more mainstream, and the mainstream can't necessarily so willingly accept something called Devil Productions or depraved whatever, and they've gone down to Corn Hub and whatever more common, less threatening terms. How long do you think it will be until they're sponsoring games and TV shows or whatever?
I don't think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Hassan brought up like the sports, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know, Elijah. I don't know if you know this, but you already have players in the NFL that are being sponsored by fucking the gambling companies. They literally are sponsoring players to tell their audience to go and gamble on their sports, like games and stuff. So that's a trickling effect when he brought up that sports aspect, because you already see that. And honestly, this is leading to the NFL that I feel like the NFL, they're paying these refs to kind of, I'm not going to say rig games, but to better get the games the closest as possible for Vegas. And if you look at Vegas, Vegas makes a lot of money off of these sports bets. Something that I've looked into. Hassan brought that up. I just wanted to shoot that out. Elijah, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I don't think corn per se. I don't think that's gonna be in the public like that, associated with sports, or I don't think that'll ever happen, because corn is corn, man. And again, if you have children, and it's just certain levels that they're not gonna go to. You know what I mean? There's gonna keep some level of order when it comes to that. If you were to ever
You never
see
know.
that. No, you know what? You're right, because I take that back, because as far as like the way you see the lettuce, ground beef, tomato, quesadilla agenda, the way.
That's what I say. You never know, Elijah.
Yeah.
As you're saying that right now, I just Googled it, and it seems like in 2024, OnlyFans confirmed as 2024 title sponsor of Motor 2 American Racing. So yeah,
Let's not forget. Let's not forget. Kids are being more and more sexualized in education institutions. They are being told. I mean, I actually did a reaction to some stories that came out in 2000 and not long ago, actually. I think 2016 or something like that. But they're teaching 9 to 10-year-olds to masturbate. They're telling them that it's okay for you to have these feelings, and as long as you masturbate in a safe place, it's fine. It's good to know your own body. So the sexualization of children, in a sense, what they're doing is they're prepping the children to be more acceptant of this degeneracy that they are pushing. Like when I say degeneracy, I'm talking about corn. They're prepping the children to be more acceptant of this. And do you know one of the reasons that they gave? I don't know if you guys know this tactic that the powers that be use. They create the problem, control the reaction, and then they offer the solution.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what it is what they've done is they've made corn highly available, extremely easily accessible. All right, knowing that one of the consequences of it would be children accessing it. So the reason that they are using one of the reasons that they are using as to why they need to teach kids so so young about sex and masturbation and so on and so forth. They're saying, oh, it's because of porn, because porn is so highly accessible these days, and children are more than likely watching it. This is why we have to tell them that it's, masturbation is not that bad. Masturbation is just knowing your body. It's to prepare them. It's to guard them against the evil corn that's spreading through our society. You see how these people work. You see how evil it is. And the
Octavio,
Hold on. And the World Health Organization,
grooming, my friend. Look at the drag queen story hours. That's all grooming.
Yeah,
It's exactly what they're doing.
World Health Organization has come out and said it themselves, that they think it's okay for a 0 to 4-year-old to know about their own body, to touch their own bodies. Okay, so this is one of the things that the you can look it up yourself. The World Health Organization is proposing. So this is in your education institution. Okay, this is being promoted everywhere
This
as
is
a
why I
good,
drink.
normal thing.
Yeah, but California, California is kind of the leaders right now over here in the States with that, man. The whole education system in California, they got to change the clothes for kids when they get to school. If they feel like they want to be, if you're a boy, they feel like they want to be a girl for the day. They allow the kids to change the clothes, and if the parents speak out against it, man, the state could take their kids away, bro. I mean, what kind of nonsense is going on in California? I don't know. But I'm here in Florida, man. In Florida, the governor here, he wasn't having it, bro. He took a lot of flack for creating a law where it's called "Don't Say Gay" or whatever they call it for short. But basically, he doesn't allow
Ron DeSantis,
Ron DeSantis, he made it to where that whole LGBT stuff was not allowed to be taught in schools. And I appreciate him for that. But it was, the people in that community, man, they was making noise about it, because they have the support of government and higher up organizations, man. They made a lot of noise about it. But I'm totally in agreement with that law, and I want my kids to be kids, bro. I don't even want them knowing about heterosexuality at their age. You see what I'm saying? Like they have no knowing about it. They haven't reached the age of that desire yet. So why am I gonna put that on them? You know what I'm saying? And I want them just to let kids be kids. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have a recording. There's a thing. You have a recording of a teacher telling her student. This is in America, I think, that she has to celebrate gay pride because during Ramadan, everybody celebrates Ramadan, so you have to celebrate LGBTQ pride parade or whatever. And she's telling this to one of her students. So she must have been very young at the time, but it's gotten to that point where
fucking laughable.
Yeah, this is the point. It's gotten to the point where it's equal to religious values. It's your sexual identity is equal to your religious value, and you must have an appreciation for whatever state of mind that the state presents to you to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yes, Alex.
Wow.
Sorry. Jake, any last words, my brother? I want everyone to give them, Jake, you need to join us more often, bro. You need to join us more often. Whenever you can.
Yeah, I do.
And Elijah.
Come on, Elijah's going to be a regular. You guys already know that. You're going to be a lot.
Yeah. So let's do last words. You want to start with me, or
yes.
Elijah, Hassan, whoever wants to go first?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, guys. What's up, Hassan?
Mine will be short. I can go, and then you guys can give longer because you guys are a bit more enthusiastic, I think, about this. Would you want to go first?
Go for it, Hassan.
Okay. So
no, Hassan, you go first. You're good.
Yeah. So this clearly it's a problem for society, and it's a growing issue, as you can see day by day. But this type of interaction of regular men coming together, because this is a really good podcast. Elijah was making some really good points at the beginning. You might have missed it, Jake. You might have to watch it when you get the chance. But pointing out the problem and finding solutions to it and how deep the problem is, and people who are conscious and are aware and are going against it, coming together online and talking about their real life experiences and understanding is really very important. That's my last words.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I can go. I would just say, what we've discussed today just exposes the fact that there is an agenda, and that agenda is to use lust, which is one of the seven deadly sins, to entice people to be slaves to a certain spirituality that goes against God, that goes against everything that is good in society, everything that goes against the natural order that God created, and we can see it. The results show it. To me, I always look at the results. I always look at the consequences, and when the consequences are not good, usually that tells me that, that allows me to work. I work backwards. I look at the results and I see, okay, all right, I don't like this. What caused it? All right, and then once I see what caused it, then I can understand why certain things are bad and so on and so forth. So yes, and when we look at society, we can see that the average relationship, it's less than 3 years. Marriages are declining. Birth rates are declining. The nuclear family is almost gone. And when you work backwards and you see the reasons for this, you go back to an agenda. And that's what we were able to expose today. We were able to expose this agenda in many different levels, in a historical sense, legal sense, and the moral sense, spiritual sense. We're able to of course we can talk about it forever, but we're able to expose this agenda in all these different dimensions and all the different levels. And like Hassan said, we need to come together more and more often, men coming together and having these conversations and letting other men know that it's so, we can have these conversations, and I believe that what we do here is we cover these topics in much more depth than what I see in other podcasts. Of course, this is nothing against the other podcasts, but we try to cover things. We try to cover things in much more depth in this podcast here. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Elijah, you want to go next or me?
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, by the way, I want to start off my last statement with Happy New Year's to all of you guys, by the way. All right. Happy New Year's. It's 2024. 2024, 2023 was something else. All right. But I will tell you this, guys. This has been a great conversation. We talked about the corn industry, a lot of women, the marriage aspect. You got Octavio and Elijah that are married individuals. Myself and Hassan, not necessarily, we're not, but we came to a lot of points in views about how to navigate the sexual marketplace, as well as, like I said, like you guys said before, we live in a Western society, and not just the West, but it's run by Satan. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but this world's run by Satan. Revolution will take its place, okay? And Jesus will show up with a sword in his mouth, representing the word of God, and it'll wipe it out. That from what I've read, that's what it is, and that's what's going to happen, right? But I'm glad I jumped on here, Octavio. I'm going to do it every time I can. It's been fun. It always is. Elijah, it's great to meet you. Information Age Mystery, right? That's your YouTube channel?
Information Mystery.
Okay. I'm going to definitely look that up, and I'm going to give you a follow, my friend. So, yeah, with any statements, guys, I enjoyed this conversation like always. Hassan, always love your presence. Always love Octavio. I'm glad we can combine our YouTube channels and always do this. I'm going to be looking into doing streamings as well, live streams, because I want Octavio on there, as well as Hassan and Katie and Bra, everybody that you guys have welcomed me into your the Solution Podcast family. So as you guys know, I'm going to do the same with y'all. So
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just Getting on the topic of corn, the corn industry, is destructive. Um, and it does a lot more damage than what we can realize at face value. We can try to pick out all of the things that we spoke about today, but there's so many more things, so many more effects that it has on us as individuals. The consequences, the psychosis, how it messes up your psychology, your perspective. It takes your energy away from you, energy that can be put into your success and bring more value in your life. It devalues your life in ways that you don't see outside of sexual aspect of it. Um, it it makes you poor, bro. I'm gonna be real. Like, people who have this habit are usually people who don't or not really making money like that. You know what I mean? Not that every world is about making money, but there's a connection, a relationship between porn and poverty. You know what I'm saying? Um, Not getting the most out of your life and what creatures of habit, and it's enslaving, and ultimately it invites demons, bro. There's no way you can do this thing without demons being involved. You know what I'm saying? Demons operate in the realm of the mind. When demons entice people and tempt people, it's always a thought. You know what I mean? And so we're using our thought ability to indulge in sexual promise, the sexual act, and we're using our imagination. So demons are totally involved in the development of our imagination to fulfill that fantasy. Um, and so I personally believe that the evolution of this, especially from the names of the film companies from back in the days, the evolution of it is to basically open up the door for demons to run rampant in society and to run rampant into people, man. Just like the music industry. The music industry is used the same way. Hip hop music, the mainstream hip hop music, R&B is a portal for demons to come through and just take over people. And so, yeah, it's satanic on every side, and it's ushering in a culture of people to usher in ultimately, I believe, the Antichrist, and to take over before the return of Jesus Christ to destroy all wickedness. But yeah, if you struggle with corn, if anybody here struggles with corn who've been watching this podcast, um, my advice is to fight for your life. You know what I mean? Don't look at it like this is something that I can just deal with and kind of categorize this apart from the other aspects of your life. No, fight for your life when it comes to this, because that's how serious it is. If you struggle with it, if you embarrassed to it, it's way more serious than you think. It's way more serious. The bondage that you have to it is way deeper than you could imagine. You know what I'm saying? And so, and the only freedom from it is Jesus Christ, man. Your faith in Him, follow with the words as much as enough as I'm actually gonna make some videos on my channel, particularly to lust and verses of scripture that really help, you know what I'm saying, to break free from these things. But yeah, seek Jesus Christ, seek the word of God and the instructions that the God says in His word to turn from these things, man. There's a lot of advice in there that if you apply it through faith along with prayer, bro, you will start to feel the power of the Holy Spirit change you, change your heart, change your mind, and give you freedom from this, man. Um, and I'm just telling you from firsthand experience. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got to say, man. I appreciate y'all for having me on here, man. It's been good, to discuss these things, and these are things that need to be talked about a lot more, man.
And we will, Uh, Don DeMarco.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's my sound effect. I just wanted to give that light right there.
it's a fact. It's true. And I just want to thank
Yeah.
Elijah for blessing the platform once more. Jake for blessing the platform once more. Um, Elijah, I know, brother, you're regular. We just need to wake up the time. I
Yeah,
want to
that's it, man.
I want to see Jake here more often. Jake, you
Yeah.
bro, the chemistry is there. We have that chemistry. The chemistry is beautiful.
You
And
got game.
uh, You know, thanks to Hassan Jake is here. It was actually Hassan that kind of got into KD, right? KD and Hassan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Katie and Son that added me on the Twitter. Son reached out a lot, like pushing me and etc. But you were the one that said it on one of your live streams to just jump on, and I was
Yeah.
just like, dude, I can't right now. And then they pushed me to jump on next time, so that's how I ended up here. So yeah, Hassan, yeah, love you, bro, and KD's a great guy. You know, he did the same thing. So yeah, appreciate it, man.
It worked out for the best. So guys, listen.
Yeah.
We're doing this regularly, all right, and hopefully we can draw more people into this podcast, and they can learn from what we are talking about and help people out there. So yes, bro, my bros, my brothers. Till next time, shout out to the Bra OG ones, shout outs to KD, everyone in the chat, shout outs to all of you, and yeah, we'll see each other next time. All right.
All right.
And we will make America great again.
See you next time.
All right, bless up, y'all.